Title: My brother cut me out of our family business after I helped him start it. Years later, he begged me for a job. Posted by u/thrown away builder. The moment my brother, Alex, slid the papers across the glass conference table, my world didn't just crack, it imploded. It was a single sheet, a termination notice. Underneath, it was a check. The check was for $5,000, with final severance written in the memo line. Alex, what is this? I laughed. It had to be a joke. We just landed the St. Jude's contract, the one I'd been working on for 6 months. This was our we made it moment. It's your final check, Mark, he said, not looking me in the eye. He was straightening his tie, a new silk one I hadn't seen before. As of today, your services as a consultant are no longer required. Consultant? The word hit me like a physical blow. Consultant? Alex, I'm your partner. I'm your brother. I built the damn platform from scratch. He finally looked at me. His eyes, the same eyes I'd looked up to my whole life, were cold. You were an employee, Mark. A 1099 contractor, technically. You were paid for your work. And now that work is done. He tapped the check. I'm even giving you a bonus. The company, our company. It's my company, Mark. It always was. He pointed to the door. Security will be by your desk in a minute to help you pack your personal items. Don't make this harder than it has to be. I sat there, frozen, as he walked out. Security. He was bringing in security. On me. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was an execution. And it was the beginning of the worst, and eventually the best years of my life. To understand the depth of this, you need to understand how Medtrans Logistics started. It wasn't Alex's idea. It was mine. I was working in IT for a major hospital network, just a cubicle drone. But I saw the waste. I saw how they transported high-value, time-sensitive medical equipment. MRI coils, surgical robots, transplant coolers. They were using generic freight companies that would just as easily lose a $500,000 machine as they would a box of paper. The tracking was a joke. A barcode scan at pickup, a scan at delivery, and a whole lot of prayer in between. I had an idea. A unified software platform. Real-time GPS, shock sensors, temperature monitoring, all streamed to a single dashboard for the hospital administrator. A white glove service. I'm an engineer. I can build anything. But I can't sell anything. I'm awkward, I'm quiet, I hate small talk. Alex, my older brother, is the opposite. Alex was born in a suit. He could sell ice to a polar bear and make him feel like he got a good deal. He was working in medical sales, doing fine, but he was bored. He was always looking for the big score. I went to him. I laid it all out. The tech, the market, the potential. His eyes lit up. He got it immediately. This is it, he'd said, pacing his living room. This is the one, Marky. This is our ticket. We needed seed money. We went to our parents. They were retired, comfortable, but not rich. They had about $100,000 left in their investment portfolio that wasn't tied to their retirement. We pitched them together. I talked tech, Alex talked numbers. At the end, our dad looked at Alex and said, "It sounds risky. Alex, you're sure you can sell this?" "Dad," Alex said, putting his hand on his shoulder. "I can't miss. And I'll be managing your money personally. It's safe." They gave us the $100,000. "I'll handle the business side," Alex said to me, clapping my back. "The lawyers, the LLC, the bank accounts. You just build the magic box, okay? You're the genius." I was so naive. I was so goddamn naive. For the next 2 years, I didn't sleep. I coded 18 hours a day in a tiny windowless office we rented. I built the platform from the ground up. The custom sensor modules, the cloud-based backend, the client-facing dashboard. I soldered prototypes on my kitchen table. I drove the first test van myself, a rented U-Haul with a $10,000 sensor package in the back, just to see if the data stream would hold. Alex, meanwhile, was doing what he does best. He was taking meetings. He was building relationships. He was buying new suits. He designed the logo. He spent $5,000 on embossed business cards. We have to look the part, Marky, he'd say. Perception is reality. I'd just nod and go back to my code. Whenever papers came, I just signed them. This is the operating agreement. This is for the bank. This is our insurance. I was too busy, too tired, and too trusting to read the fine print. Alex was my brother. He wouldn't screw me. Our first client was a small, regional hospital. I rode in the truck with the driver for the first 3 deliveries. Alex took the administrator out for a steak dinner. We grew. We hired 2 drivers. Then 5. We leased a small warehouse. Alex hired a director of operations, so he could focus on sales. I was still in the back room, coding, refining, putting out fires. Hey Alex, I'd say in our weekly meeting. We're having data packet loss when the trucks go through rural areas. I need to build a new buffering protocol. It's going to take me a couple of weeks of focused work. Great, he'd say, looking at his phone. Hey, did you see the numbers from the HCA account? We're killing it. I'm thinking of leasing a new BMW. A 7 Series. Gotta show up in style. I was still driving my 10-year-old Honda. I was taking a salary of $40,000 a year, just enough to cover my rent and my ramen. Alex was taking $150,000, plus expenses. It's just until we're really stable, Marky, he assured me. Your equity is where the real money is. We are partners. 50/50ths. Once we're bought out by Johnson & Johnson, we'll both be billionaires. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. The St. Jude's contract was the white whale. A national contract for all their research-grade equipment transport. It was a massive deal, a game changer. It would triple our revenue overnight. I spent 6 months customizing our platform for their specific needs. Building new compliance modules, new security layers, new audit trails. I was working 100-hour weeks. I was exhausted, but exhilarated. I presented the tech, via video conference, to their executive board. Alex flew out and took them to a ball game. They signed. The next day, Alex called me into the conference room. The nice one, the one we saved for clients. And that's when he slid the papers across the table. You can't do this, I stammered, the check feeling like it was burning my hand. It's done, he said. I'm the sole managing member of the LLC. You're an at-will contractor. I checked with the lawyers, Mark. It's all clean. You signed the agreements. He was right. I had. The operating agreement I signed 2 years ago? It listed me as a founding consultant, with a 2-year contract and a lump sum payment of $5,000 upon completion. The completion, apparently, was landing the St. Jude's deal. The 50/50 partnership? It was never on paper. It was just words, between brothers. What about Mom and Dad's money? I asked, my voice hollow. It's fine. It's safe. I'm managing it, he said. They're getting a 10% return. They're thrilled. The security guard, a guy I'd see every day, knocked on the door. He looked uncomfortable. Mr. Alex? You needed me. Yes, Tom, Alex said, gesturing to me. Mark is leaving. Please make sure he only takes his personal belongings. His company-issued laptop stays. My laptop. My life's work was on that laptop. The entire code base. You can't, I whispered, shaking. Alex, please. This is my work. It's my work now, he said. Company property. IP clauses. Mark. You signed them. I walked out of that office in a daze. Tom, the guard, carried a small box with my coffee mug, a picture of my now ex-girlfriend, and a coding manual. I got in my old Honda and just sat. I sat in the parking lot, in the spot marked employee, for 3 hours, just staring at the logo on the side of the building. The logo Alex had designed. That night, I went to my parents. I was hysterical, I'm sure. I was half crying, half yelling. I showed them the check. What is this, Mark? A bonus? My dad asked, confused. I told them. Everything. My mom's face went pale. My dad just got quiet. Then he said, Mark, there must be a misunderstanding. Alex wouldn't do that. It's a family business. It's not a family business, Dad. It's his business. He stole it. Don't talk about your brother that way, my dad snapped. I'm going to call him. We'll clear this up. He called Alex. I could hear Alex's smooth, calm voice on the other end. Dad, I'm so glad you called. I was so worried about Mark. I had to let him go. He's been erratic, dropping the ball. He almost cost us the St. Jude's deal. I think he's having some kind of breakdown. I had to protect the company. I had to protect your investment. My jaw hit the floor. He was painting me as the unstable one. My dad listened for a long time. He kept saying, I see. I see. Oh, that's terrible. Yes, of course you did the right thing. He hung up the phone and looked at me with disappointment. Mark, he said, his voice firm. You're clearly not well. You're stressed. You're overworked. Alex has been covering for you. He's giving you some time off. That $5,000 is to help you take a vacation. You need to rest. And then you need to apologize to your brother for this behavior. My mom just sat there, wringing her hands. Just rest, dear. You'll feel better. Alex knows what's best for the business. I had been betrayed twice. First by my brother, then by my parents. They believed him. Of course they believed him. He was Alex. I was just Mark. I crumpled up the $5,000 check and threw it on their pristine kitchen counter. Keep it, I said, my voice dead. Give it to Alex. He's earned it. I walked out. I didn't speak to my parents, or my brother, for the next 8 years. Rock bottom is a cliché until you're there. The first month was a blur of cheap whiskey and rage. I called a lawyer. I paid him $500 for a consultation. He looked at the papers I'd signed for all of 30 minutes. Mr. Last Name, he said, leaning back. You're screwed. What do you mean? He stole my code. He stole my idea. He didn't steal your idea. You gave it to him. And he didn't steal your code. You wrote it for him, as a contractor, on his equipment. You signed a work-for-hire agreement and an IP waiver. This is ironclad. Your brother's lawyer is good. So I have nothing. You have a $5,000 check. I'd cash it. You're going to need it. He was right. I was broke. I'd been living paycheck to paycheck, putting everything back into the company. I couldn't make rent. My girlfriend, who had been patient with my 100-hour weeks, couldn't handle the sudden, broke, angry, and depressed man I'd become. She left. I can't even blame her. I had to sell my Honda just to pay the deposit on a room for rent in a bad part of town. I got a job. A crappy dead-end IT help desk job at a call center. I'd gone from building a multi-million-dollar tech platform to resetting passwords for people who couldn't remember their dog's name. The humiliation was a physical leaden weight I carried every day. And the worst part? Medtrans was thriving. I'd see their new branded vans all over town. I heard Alex on a local business podcast, talking about his journey and how he innovated the medical logistics space. He never mentioned me. Not once. I saw a picture of him in the local paper, cutting a ribbon on a new 50,000-square-foot warehouse. My parents were on either side of him, beaming. My dad had his arm around Alex. The caption read, Alex, last name, with his proud parents, mom and dad, at the opening of Medtrans Logistics' new headquarters. I vomited. I literally went to the bathroom in my crappy apartment and was sick. That was the lowest point. And in that moment, something inside me changed. The rage didn't go away, but it crystallized. It turned from a hot, burning fire into a cold, hard diamond. Spite is a hell of a motivator. I was done being pathetic. I was done being a victim. I was a builder. Alex had taken my house, but I still had the blueprints. And I was going to build a goddamn fortress. I still had my brain. I still had my skills. And Alex had made one critical, catastrophic mistake. He'd fired me, but he hadn't killed me. He was a salesman. He couldn't code a single line. He had my version 1.0 platform. It was good, but it was a version 1.0. It was a patched-together, duct-taped and prayer-held-together system that I was the only one who truly understood. It had bugs. It had limitations. It wasn't scalable past a certain point without a total rewrite. He was flying high on it. But eventually, he was going to hit the ceiling. And I wasn't going to be there to fix it. I started a new project. At night. After my soul-crushing help desk job. I was reading an article online about a museum that had a painting damaged in transit. A multi-million-dollar piece, ruined by a cheap sensor that failed to report a humidity spike. A light bulb went on. What's more valuable and sensitive than medical equipment? Art. High-end art, rare antiquities, museum exhibits. The problem was the same. The solution was the same. But the clients were different. They were richer. And they were more paranoid. I started building. This time, I didn't cut corners. I didn't duct tape anything. I built version 2.0 from the ground up. Not Medtrans 2.0. This was something new. I called it Aegis. A shield. I incorporated first. Aegis Secure Logistics, LLC. I was the 100% sole managing member. I filed for 3 provisional patents on my new tracking and environmental monitoring system. I paid for it by working overtime at the call center and living on nothing but beans and rice. For a year and a half, I was a ghost. I worked, I coded, I slept. That was it. My first client was a small local gallery. I told the owner I'd transport her entire next exhibit to a local art fair for free. All I asked was that she let me install my sensors and give me a testimonial if she liked it. She was skeptical. I was just some guy in a rented van. But I'd built a new dashboard. I gave her a login. She called me halfway through the transport. "Mark," she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. "I can see my painting. Right now. I can see it 68 degrees and at 45% humidity. This is incredible." She became my first paying client. And she told everyone. The art world is small. Word travels. My next client was a private collector. Then a small museum in a neighboring state. I quit the help desk job. I cashed out the tiny 401k I had. I bought my first real van, a new Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, and I outfitted it myself. Climate control, air ride suspension, and my custom-built, patented sensor array. I was the CEO, the CTO, and the only driver. I was working 20-hour days. But this was different. This wasn't for us. This was for me. Aegis grew. After a year, I had 3 vans and 2 drivers, who I paid very well, with full benefits. After 3 years, I had a fleet of 15, a small secure warehouse, and I hired my first engineer, Sarah, so I could stop coding and actually run the company. Sarah was brilliant. And the first thing I did was offer her a 5% equity stake, vested over 4 years. "I want you to be a partner, Sarah," I told her. "Not a consultant." She's still my COO today. I built my business on the 2 things Alex had thrown away: transparency and trust. My clients could log in and see their multi-million-dollar cargo in real time, with a 4K camera feed, temperature, humidity, G-force, and light exposure readings. We were insured to the hilt. We were paranoid. We were perfect. By year 5, Aegis was the only company the big New York and London auction houses trusted with their most valuable pieces. We were moving Picassos, Rembrandts, and dinosaur skeletons. We weren't a logistics company. We were a tech-enabled, high-security, peace-of-mind service. And we charged an insane amount for it. By year 6, I was, by any measure, wealthy. Not Alex in his new BMW wealthy, but actually wealthy. I owned my building. I owned my fleet. I had 30 employees. I had a beautiful condo downtown. I'd also met Anna. I met her at an art gala, one I was sponsoring. She was a curator. She was smart, funny, and she had the most honest eyes I'd ever seen. On our 3rd date, I told her everything. About Alex. About my parents. About the betrayal. I laid it all out, expecting her to run. She just took my hand. "So what you're saying," she said with a small smile, "is that you're a fighter. And you're loyal. And you build things." Yeah. I guess so." "Good," she said. "Me too." We got married a year later. And the entire time, for all those years, I heard nothing. The Medtrans vans were still on the road. I'd see them, and my stomach would still twist. Alex was still out there, living large on my stolen work. I'd hear whispers. He was the president of the local chamber of commerce. He donated a Medtrans wing to the local hospital, a single waiting room, but it had a plaque. He was Mr. Last Name. I was the black sheep, the one who couldn't hack it and disappeared. My parents? I'd sent them a letter after I'd landed my first big museum contract. It was short. I'm doing well. I own a company called Aegis Logistics. I'm happy. I'm not the failure you thought I was. I'm not going to reach out again. If you ever want to have a relationship with me, you know what you need to do. They never responded. Anna and I were having our first child, a baby girl. We were painting the nursery in our new house, a beautiful place in the hills outside the city. I was truly, completely happy. I hadn't thought about Alex in months. And that's when the first cracks in his world started to show. It started subtly. I was at a logistics trade show in Chicago. Aegis had a big, fancy booth. A vendor I knew, a guy who sold specialized climate control units, stopped by. "Man, your tech is slick," he said, looking at my real-time dashboard. "Night and day." "Night and day from what?" I asked. "Oh, I was just at the Medtrans booth. Your brother's company, right? Alex. Nice guy. Great suit. But man, their tech." He winced. It felt old. Like 2010 old. "It's all just cobbled together, off-the-shelf stuff." I asked their tech guy about their data encryption, and he just stared at me. I just nodded, weird. But inside, I was smiling. Of course it was old. It was my old code. And the tech guy was probably some new hire trying to make sense of my uncommented, decade-old spaghetti code. Alex hadn't innovated a single thing. He'd just been riding the wave. A few months later, the wave crashed. The pandemic hit, and while my business, art, took a temporary pause, the medical world exploded. But then, a year later, came the real blow, the CARES Act 2.0 and the subsequent new federal regulations. A new set of laws was passed regarding the chain of custody for sensitive medical hardware and biological materials. It was a direct response to the chaos of the early pandemic. It mandated everything I'd built for Aegis. End-to-end encryption. Real-time, uneditable audit logs. Redundant temperature and shock monitoring. Server-side, HIPAA-compliant data storage. My old version 1.0 platform? It didn't have any of that. It was built on an old, unsecurable architecture. It would need a total ground-up rewrite to be compliant. A rewrite Alex was completely, utterly incapable of doing. I knew this. The moment I read the new law, I knew. I told Anna, Medtrans is going to be dead in 6 months. I was right. The first news article dropped about 3 months later. St. Jude's Hospital severs ties with Medtrans Logistics, citing compliance issues. St. Jude's. My old contract. The one I'd landed. Then came the flood. One after another, his clients dropped him. They had to. Using him would make them non-compliant. I saw a new picture of Alex in the paper. This one wasn't a ribbon cutting. He was walking out of the federal courthouse, being hounded by a local TV reporter. He'd been hit with a massive fine for falsifying compliance documents. He looked terrible. Thin, sallow, his expensive suit hanging off him. The schadenfreude was delicious. I'm not a good enough person to say it wasn't. I drank a very expensive bottle of scotch that night and toasted his picture. Then came the coal. It was a Sunday. I was on the floor of the nursery, building a crib. My daughter was asleep in her bassinet next to me. Anna was reading on the couch. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello. Mark? Is this Mark?" The voice was thin, reedy. I didn't recognize it. "Who is this?" "It's Mom." I froze. My blood ran cold. I hadn't heard her voice in 8 years. "Mark, please. Don't hang up. Please. We." She started to cry. "We need you, Mark. It's Alex." I looked at Anna. She saw my face and was by my side in an instant. "What's wrong with Alex?" I said, my voice flat. It's all gone, Mark. The business, it's gone. They took everything. The house. The cars. They're going to lose our money, Mark. Your father's. He's a wreck. The $100,000. Alex used it as collateral on a business loan, and now. She was sobbing. "Please, Mark. He's your brother. You have to help him. We see you. In the magazines. You're so successful. You can help him. You can give him a job. Please. Be the bigger man. For your family. Be the bigger man." The same words they'd used on me 8 years ago. "Mom," I said, and my voice was so calm it scared me. "Where is he?" He's here. At our house. He wants to talk to you." I heard fumbling. And then, his voice. Marky. He sounded awful. Drunk, or just broken. Probably both. "Hello, Alex." "Mark, oh God, Mark. I'm so sorry, man. I screwed up. I really screwed up." He screwed up. Not I screwed you. "What do you want, Alex?" I need. Mark, I need a job." There it was. I need a job. Just for a little while. To get back on my feet. I'm a great salesman. You know that. I can be your VP of sales. I can take Aegis to the next level. We can be partners again, Marky. Like we were supposed to be. Partners. The absolute, unmitigated gall of this man. After 8 years, after stealing my life's work, after turning my parents against me, after driving my company into the ground. He wasn't just asking for a handout. He was asking for his old job back. He was asking to be my boss. I can come by your office, he was babbling. Tomorrow. 9 a.m. I'll bring my resume. It's really good. Don't, I said. What? Don't come to my office. Ever. Oh. Okay. Okay, yeah. We can meet for coffee. Wherever you want. You name the place, I'm there. I looked around my beautiful home. At my beautiful wife. At my sleeping daughter. I had built this. All of it. Not from his scraps. From scratch. The rage was gone. The spite had burned out long ago. All that was left was pity. And a kind of cold, clear-eyed finality. No, Alex. We're not meeting for coffee. But Mom said, Mark, please. I'm begging you. I have nothing. I'm going to be on the street. That sounds like a you problem, Alex. You bastard, he hissed. The broken man was gone, and the real Alex was back, just for a second. After everything I did for you. I gave you your start. I think we're done here. Wait, he screamed. Wait. Please. Mark. Anything. I'll sweep the floors. I'll be a driver. I'm not too proud. Please. Don't do this. Don't be like this. I took a deep breath. Okay, Alex. You want to square things? Let's square things. I'm going to send an envelope to Mom and Dad's house. It will have 2 things inside. A check and a letter. The check will be for $100,000, made out to Mom and Dad. It's their original investment. They're the only ones in this I still care about, and I'm just buying my peace of mind. Oh God, Mark, thank you. I'm not finished, I said. The second thing is for you. It's a check, Alex. For $5,000. Plus interest. Let's call it $7,000, just to be generous. He was quiet. It's your severance, Alex. For your consulting work. Back then. We're square. That's all you ever thought I was worth. And now, it's all you're worth to me. Mark, that's not, you can't. I can, I said. And I am. The $100,000 is for Mom and Dad. It is not for you. If I find out you've touched a penny of it, I'll know, and I'll come for you. Not legally. Just. I'll come for you. The 7,000 is yours. Take it, and disappear. Or don't. I don't care. But here's the one final, important part, Alex. Are you listening? Yes. He whispered. Lose this number. Tell Mom and Dad to lose it too. My family. Anna and my daughter. This is my family now. You are not my brother. You are not my family. You are nothing. We're done. I hung up the phone. I stood there, shaking, just a little. Anna was at my side, her arms around my waist. What did you do? She asked, her voice soft. I just paid off a very old debt, I said. My phone buzzed again. And again. And again. Alex. Then unknown Mom. Then Alex again. I powered it off. I picked up the screwdriver and went back to building the crib. Epilogue. It's been 2 years since that call. I did what I said. I sent the 2 checks via registered mail. The $100,000 was cashed by my father. The $7,000 was cashed by Alex. About 6 months ago, my COO Sarah told me she was at a sales conference in Atlanta. She saw someone familiar. It was your brother, Mark, she said, looking uncomfortable. Oh yeah. I said, sipping my coffee. He was working a booth. For one of those cheap, offshore tracking companies. The ones that are always getting sued. He was a sales rep. Not even the manager. He looked bad, Mark. He tried to pitch me. He didn't even recognize me. He doesn't know you, I said. I guess not. Anyway, he gave me his card. It was just a cheap Vistaprint card. I threw it away. My parents? They tried to reach out. A Christmas card, a few months after the call. It had a picture of them. They looked old. Inside, my mother had written, "We hope you and your new family are well. We miss you." There was no apology. No acknowledgement. No, we were wrong. I put the card in the shredder. Aegis just opened its European headquarters in Amsterdam. I took Anna and my daughter, we have a son now too, to Paris to celebrate. We stood in front of a painting in the Louvre, one that I know my company transported. I looked at my wife, at my kids, at this masterpiece of human achievement, and I felt at peace. Alex wanted to be a king. He stole my castle, and he sat on the throne, and he let it rot from the inside out. He thought the throne was the prize. He never understood. The prize isn't the throne. It's the knowing how to build it. And I'm a builder. The title pretty much says it all. But it doesn't capture the feeling. The feeling of sitting at your own dining table, listening to your wife laugh, just a little too loudly, at a joke about your career. The feeling of being the before picture in someone else's afterlife. The night it all crystallized was a Tuesday. Just a regular Tuesday. My wife, Claire, had invited her 2 best friends, Megan and Chloe, over for dinner. And where the wives go, the husbands must follow. So we had Derek, Megan's husband, and Tom, Chloe's husband. And me. Sam. I'm the control group. The wine was flowing. I had cooked. I like cooking, and I'm good at it. I'd made a short rib ragout that had been simmering for 8 hours. But the food was just a prop for the main event, the Bragg Fest. The partners finally signed off on the bonus pool, Derek announced, swirling a Cabernet in his glass that cost more than my entire case. Let's just say, Megan is getting the exact kitchen she wanted. He's a VP in private equity. He has that casual, dismissive arrogance of someone who has never once checked his bank balance before buying something. Oh, stop, Megan said, failing to hide her grin. It's honestly obscene. I told him it was too much. We should just give it to charity. They would not be giving it to charity. Well, we're not getting a kitchen, Chloe chimed in, but Tom did finally get the call from corporate. Tom, a senior exec at some massive tech firm, tried to look modest. It's just a title bump, really. Senior director to VP. Mostly just means more meetings. And a new Tesla, Chloe added, tapping his arm. He's getting the new Plaid. He says it's for the environment, but I know it's because it's faster than Derek's Porsche. This is the game. It's a sport. They trade blows, and the winner is the one who has spent the most money or acquired the most impressive-sounding title that month. And then the inevitable. The swivel. All 6 eyes landed on me. Sam. Megan said, her voice dripping with that specific kind of pitying enthusiasm. How are things at, Mutual, I said, smiling. The insurance company. Things are good. Stable. Ah, stable, Derek said, nodding like a priest blessing a leper. Stability is important. Really important. Good for you, man. Seriously. The subtext was neon. Stable is the word you use when you have nothing else good to say. It's the great personality of careers. I'm a senior data analyst. I build predictive models for risk. It's complex, it's challenging, and it pays well. I make $110,000 a year. We live in a nice house in a good neighborhood. We have 2 paid-off cars. We have no debt besides the mortgage. By any reasonable metric, I am successful. But in this room, I was a failure. That's what I always tell Claire, Megan said, turning to my wife. You're so lucky to have Sam. No stress. No late-night calls from Singapore. He's just home. It must be so relaxing. I waited. This was the moment for my wife, my partner, the person who was supposed to be in my corner, to say something. To defend me. To say, Sam works hard, and we have a great life. Claire laughed. That high, tight laugh she uses when she's uncomfortable. Oh my God, relaxing is the word. You have no idea. Sometimes I wish he had a little more ambition. You know? Just to keep things exciting. The room went quiet for a beat. She'd said the quiet part out loud. Derek and Tom shared a look. Megan just sipped her wine, her eyes sparkling. I didn't say anything. I just got up, collected the plates, and went to the kitchen. I could hear them restart the conversation, moving on to vacation plans in Aspen. I just stood there, my hands under the hot water, listening to the muffled sounds of my wife and her friends deciding I was less than. The real fight, however, came later. After they left, the house was loud with silence. Claire was in the kitchen, wiping down the counters I had already cleaned. What was that? I asked. My voice was quiet. What was what? God, you're in a mood. What you said. About me having no ambition. In front of them. Claire threw the sponge into the sink. Oh, relax, Sam. It was a joke. We were all just teasing. God, you're so sensitive. It didn't feel like a joke, Claire. It felt like you were agreeing with them. That you're embarrassed by me. She finally turned to look at me, and her face was hard. Embarrassed? No. But am I jealous of them sometimes? Yes. Is that so wrong? Jealous of what? Derek, who works 80 hours a week and looks like he's aged 15 years in the last 3. Tom, who is so stressed he's popping antacids like candy. I'm jealous that their husbands are doing something. She shot back, her voice rising. They're going somewhere. They're building things. They're known. What are you doing, Sam? You've been in the same job, with the same title, for 6 years. Your biggest ambition is to get a new, whatever that, wheel thingy is for your game in the basement. Ouch. The wheel thingy. It's not a game, I said, my voice dangerously low. It's a sim. And it's what I enjoy. That's my point, she said, exasperated. It's a hobby. Derek and Tom don't have time for hobbies. They're too busy being successful. You're so average compared to them, Sam. And I'm tired of being the average wife. Average. There it was. The word that had been hanging in the air all night. Average. I had no response. I just stared at her. The woman I'd met in college. The woman I'd backpacked through Europe with. The woman who used to say she loved my calm and steady nature. That woman was gone. In her place was a stranger who had looked at her friends' shiny lives and decided her own was dull. I'm going downstairs, I said. Of course you are, she said, her voice full of contempt. Go play your game. I went downstairs to my office. My cave. And there it was. My wheel thingy. It's a sim racing rig. But to call it a game is like calling Derek's job playing with numbers. It's a direct drive wheelbase that can break your wrist. Hydraulic pedals with a 200 kilograms load cell. A full motion platform. Triple 42-inch monitors. It's a professional-grade training tool. And yes, it was expensive. It's what I spend my fun money on. I sat in the bucket seat. I put on my headphones, blocking out the sound of my life upstairs. I logged into eRacing. And I drove. For those who don't know, eRacing isn't just a game. It's a high-fidelity simulation. The physics are ruthless. The competition is insane. We're not talking about kids on Xbox. We're talking about real-world professional drivers. Max Verstappen. Lando Norris. They're all on here. And in this world, I am not average. I'm in the top 1% of all drivers. I'm in a Pro-Am league that runs 24-hour endurance races. My teammate, RaceGeek88, is a guy named Ben. We've been friends for years but have never met. We just talk strategy and data over Discord. My average job as a data analyst? It's the perfect training. Sim racing isn't just about being fast. It's about data. I'm not just a driver, I'm an engineer. I can read telemetry like a book. I can look at a data trace and tell you why the rear left tire is overheating by half a degree. I've built predictive models for fuel consumption and tire degradation that my league uses. My average brain excels at this. That night, I didn't just drive. I drove angry. I broke my own track record at Spa. Twice. I was in the zone, cooling down after a race, when a message popped up on Discord from Ben. Ben, holy hell man. That last stint was magic. Your telemetry is clean as glass. You're wasted in our league. Me, just blowing off steam. Rough night. Ben, rough? You just put 3/10 on a time set by a real-world Porsche Cup driver. You shouldn't be blowing off steam. You should be getting paid for this. I laughed. Me, yeah right. Dear Mutual Insurance, I'm quitting to be a fake race car driver. Ben, I'm not kidding, Sam. And not as a driver. As a strategist. I stopped. Me, what do you mean? Ben, I've never told you what I do for a living, have I? My day job. Me, no. I assume something in tech? Ben, sort of. I'm a data engineer for Team Name Racing. I had to read that twice. Team Name Racing. They weren't just a team. They were the team. They ran the factory program for a major manufacturer in the IMSA WeatherTech series. They raced at Daytona, Sebring, Le Mans. They were the absolute pinnacle of sports car racing in North America. Me, you're kidding me. Ben, I'm not. And my boss, the technical director, is looking for a new race strategist. The guy we had just got poached by an F1 team. Me, Ben, that's insane. I'm an insurance analyst. Ben, you're an insurance analyst who builds predictive models for tire wear for fun. You understand how to translate data into strategy under pressure. Sam, it's the exact same job. Instead of risk, it's lap time. Instead of premiums, it's fuel load. I've seen your spreadsheets. They're cleaner than ours. He sent me a link. A private job posting on the team's internal portal. Lead race strategist. I read the qualifications. Advanced degree in engineering, mathematics, or data science. 5+ years experience in high-level data modeling and predictive analytics. Proven ability to work under extreme pressure and make real-time, data-driven decisions. Motorsports experience a significant plus. I stared at the screen. My heart was hammering. Me, Ben. I don't have motorsports experience. I have eRacing experience. Ben, send me your resume. And send me that fuel-saving model you built for our Daytona 24H race. Let me handle the experience part. Just trust me. Apply. What's the worst that can happen? You stay stable? He used the word stable. It was like a splash of ice water. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my computer until 3 a.m., converting my corporate speak resume into something else. I translated actuarial risk modeling into probabilistic strategy analysis. I translated quarterly performance reports into post-event data-driven debriefs. I attached my resume. I attached my e-racing fuel model. And I wrote a cover letter. I was honest. My name is Sam. I am a senior data analyst at a major insurance firm, and I am a top-tier sim racer. My professional life is data. My passion is motorsports. I believe the two are one and the same. I hit send. I went to bed as the sun was coming up. Claire was asleep on her side of the bed, a deep chasm between us. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel hurt. I felt nothing. Just a cold, quiet hum of potential. The next few weeks were a strange kind of purgatory. My life with Claire was a truce. We were polite. We were roommates. The average comment hung in the air, unaddressed. She was going out with Megan and Chloe more. I was playing my game more. We were two people living separate lives in the same house. I almost forgot I'd even applied. In the light of day, it felt stupid. A fantasy. Then I got an email. From the HR director of Team Name Racing. Mr. My last name, your resume and accompanying analysis have been forwarded to our technical director. He was very interested in your methodology. Would you be available for a preliminary video call this Friday? I felt my blood run cold. I booked a meeting room at my office. Dentist appointment, I told my boss. The call was with HR and Ben's boss, the technical director. A serious-looking man in his 50s with a team polo shirt on. He didn't waste time. Sam, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I don't care about your insurance background. I care about this. He held up a printout of my e-racing fuel model. Ben says you built this in a weekend. Yes, sir. It's a basic regression model, really. It correlates fuel map settings with throttle position and track temperature to predict consumption over a stint. He just stared at me. You call this basic? Compared to the actuarial models I build for work? Yes. This is simple. He smiled. A real, cracked leather smile. I like you. You're not a motorsports guy. You're a data guy. We have a lot of motorsports guys. Most of them can't do math. They feel the strategy. I'm tired of feeling. I want to know. The interview lasted an hour. It wasn't an interview. It was a test. He'd screen share a data trace. Car 12, lap 45, Mid-Ohio. Driver complains of understeer. What do you see? I'd lean in. He's overslowing at apex, getting on the throttle too early, and asking too much of the front tire. But also, look at the damper trace. The rear right rebound is slow. He's getting a snap on exit, and he's correcting it on entry, which is scrubbing the front. It's a setup issue, not a driver issue. There was a long silence. You got that from one trace? Yes. It's just data. It's a story. You just have to read it. The call ended. HR will be in touch, he said. The next step was a practical test. They sent me a data packet. 30 gigabytes of it. This is from last year's race at Watkins Glen. All our telemetry, all our competitors. We finished P3. We should have won. Tell us why we didn't. I told Claire I had a major work project. I locked myself in my office for the entire weekend. I barely ate. I barely slept. I fell down a rabbit hole of data that was more beautiful and complex than anything I'd ever seen. It wasn't one thing. It was a cascade of tiny average decisions. They pitted a lap too early on the second yellow, costing them track position. Why? Because their fuel model was too conservative. It didn't account for the fuel saving a driver can do under caution. My e-racing model did. Their tire model was based on a static temperature. It didn't account for the heat cycle, how a tire performs after it's been hot and then cooled down. I found the moment. Lap 112. The final pit stop. The lead car was saving fuel. Their strategist should have seen it in the data. Their lap times were 0.2s slower on the straights, a classic lift and coast. The team name, car had enough fuel to run flat out. They could have pitted, taken fresh tires, and caught them. Instead, they matched the lead car's pace to save fuel they didn't need to save. They were feeling the race, not reading the data. I wrote a 20-page report. I didn't just point out the error. I built a new model. I reran the race. If you had pitted on lap 113, you would have won by 4.5 seconds. I sent it on Sunday night. On Monday morning, my phone rang. A number from Charlotte, North Carolina. It was the technical director. When can you be on a plane? I had to tell Claire something. The company is... My God, the lie felt awful. They're flying me to our regional office in Charlotte for a big cross-department project. I'll be gone for 2 days. Claire just shrugged. Okay. Have fun. She didn't even look up from her phone. She was texting Megan. This was the part that felt surreal. I flew first class. A black car picked me up. Not at a regional office, but at the team's headquarters. It was like walking into NASA. The shop was a pristine white, football field-sized room. Multi-million-dollar race cars were in various states of undress. The smell of carbon fiber and cleaning solvents. The quiet, intense hum of people who were the best in the world at what they did. I met Ben. He was just a normal-looking guy in his late 20s. We hugged. "You're real," I said. "You're shorter than I expected," he replied. My interview was with the team principal. The big boss. He wasn't a data guy. He was an ex-driver with sharp eyes and a shark smile. We sat in his glass-walled office overlooking the shop floor. "My tech director says you're a witch," he said, offering me an espresso. "I'm just an analyst, sir." "Don't sir me. I'm not that old." "So, you're an insurance guy?" "Yes." "And you think you can call a race? You think you can sit on the timing stand, with me screaming in your ear, with a $10 million car and 2 drivers' lives in your hands, and just do the math?" "Yes," I said. "The math is the one thing that's real. The pressure is just a variable. You model it." He laughed. A big, barking laugh. "The pressure is a variable? I love that. You ever been in a hot pit?" "No. It's 120 degrees. It smells like high-octane fuel and melting tires. The noise is so loud it shakes your teeth. And you have 3 seconds to decide whether to take 2 tires or 4, a decision that will win or lose you the race. You can't model that." "You can," I said, leaning forward. "You model it before the race. You run 10,000 simulations. You know the probability of each outcome. The decision is already made. My job on the stand isn't to make the decision. It's to recognize which of the 10,000 scenarios we're in." He just stared at me. For a long, long time. "My tech director is right," he said. "You're a witch." The flight home was different. I didn't listen to music. I just stared out the window. They hadn't offered me the job. But I knew. I felt it. A kind of calm I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't ego. It was just recognition. I'd found my people. I got home. Claire was already in bed, asleep. I stood in the doorway of our dark bedroom and looked at her. And I felt an overwhelming sense of sadness. The call came on a Friday. I was at my desk, running a basic risk model for Midwestern floodplains. My cell phone rang. Charlotte, North Carolina. It was HR. "Sam, the team was unanimously impressed. The principal and the technical director have both signed off. We'd like to formally offer you the position of lead race strategist for the number 4 car." I muted my desk phone. I walked into a private huddle room. My hands were shaking. "Okay," I said, my voice barely a whisper. And then she gave me the numbers. The base salary was $220,000. I almost dropped the phone. That was double my current salary. "There's also a performance bonus," she continued, "tied to race wins and the season championship. That can be up to 100% of the base. We offer 30 days of vacation, which you'll need, because you'll be on the road for about 20 race weekends a year, plus testing. We cover all travel, first class." And I stopped listening. I was just stuck on the numbers. $220,000. Potentially $440,000. That was Derek and Tom money. No, that was more than Derek money. "So we'll need your decision within a week, as we'd like you to start in time for the Roar before the 24 at Daytona." "Daytona," I repeated, stupidly. "Yes. The 24-hour race. It's our biggest event. You'll be on the stand. Yes. Thank you. I need to talk to my wife. I'll have an answer for you by Monday. I hung up. I sat in that gray windowless huddle room for 10 minutes, just breathing. I walked out. I went to my desk. I packed my laptop. I told my boss I was feeling sick. I drove home. The 30-minute drive was a blur. I walked in the door. It was 2 p.m. Claire was in the kitchen, on a video call with, you guessed it, Megan. "Oh hey," she said, surprised. "You're home early. Hey, can you get off the call?" She saw my face. "Meg, I'll call you back." "Sam, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Did you get fired?" There was a note of genuine panic in her voice. The average job was still the one paying the mortgage. "No," I said. "I didn't get fired. We need to talk. Sit down." This was it. The moment of truth. And I realized the job wasn't the biggest thing. The lie was. I lied to you," I said. Her face went pale. What are you? Oh my God. Who is she? Are you cheating on me, Sam?" And the most messed up part? I could see the look on her face. It wasn't just hurt. It was embarrassment. As if the only thing worse than an average husband was a cliché cheating husband. "No," I said, almost laughing. "God, no. I didn't cheat. But I did lie. My dentist appointment. The conference in Charlotte. It was job interviews." Her face went from fear to anger. "Job interviews? You're leaving Mutual? For what? Another insurance company? Sam, we just redid the deck. You can't take a pay cut right now. Megan's husband just." "I got a new job," I said, cutting her off. "I'm putting in my 2 weeks at Mutual. Today." "A new job where?" she said, exasperated. "What's the exciting new title?" Senior analyst." I took a breath. "I'm going to be the new lead race strategist for Team Name Racing's IMSA program." She just stared at me. A blank, uncomprehending stare. What does that even mean? Is that your game?" "No, Claire. It's not a game. It's the real team. The one on TV. The one that races at Daytona and Le Mans. I'm going to be on the pit wall, on the timing stand. I'm the guy who tells the driver when to pit. I'm the one who runs the data. It's the job." She was still staring. You're quitting your career to go work for NASCAR." "It's not NASCAR. It's sports car racing. And it's a career, Claire. I fumbled in my bag and pulled out the folder I'd printed. I hadn't even realized I'd done it. The offer letter. I handed it to her. She read it. I watched her eyes scan down the page. I saw them hit the letterhead. I saw them hit the job title. And then I saw them hit the salary. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. She looked up from the paper. At me. Back at the paper. Back at me. $220,000, she whispered. "That's the base," I said, my voice shaking. The bonus could double that." She sat down. Hard. On one of the kitchen stools. Is this real?" "It's real. They're flying me to Daytona for my first race in 3 weeks." She was silent. She just kept reading the letter, as if the words would change. I could see the gears turning. I could see the mental math. I could see her processing not just the money, but the status. "My God," she said. "My God, Sam. You did this? From your hobby?" "My hobby," I said, "is data analysis. Just like my job. It's the same skill. I was applying it in the wrong place." And then she started to cry. Not sad tears. But something else. This strange, choked, hysterical sobbing. She gasped. "This is amazing. This is. Wait until I tell Megan. Wait until. Oh my God, Tom loves racing. He's going to die." She ran over and hugged me. Jumped on me, wrapping her legs around my waist, kissing my face. Like she used to. "My husband," she was yelling. "My amazing, brilliant husband. You're not average. You're not. You're a genius." And I hugged her back. But my arms were stiff. Because all I could think was, I am the same man I was yesterday. The same average man you mocked in this very kitchen. The only thing that's changed is the number on a piece of paper. The next 2 weeks were the strangest of my life. I gave my 2 weeks' notice. My boss was baffled. Motorsports? Like fixing cars? I just smiled. Something like that. But the real change was at home. Claire was a different person. She was attentive. She was proud. She was all over me. She'd call me at work just to ask what I was thinking. She started making my favorite dinners. She bought things for the bedroom. She was also suddenly fascinated by my hobby. "So show me," she said one night, following me down to the basement. "Show me what you do." I sat in the rig. I pulled up the telemetry from my last race. I started explaining damper velocity and tire slip angle. She watched, her eyes wide, nodding. She didn't understand a word of it. I knew she didn't. But she was trying. "It's just so smart, Sam," she said, running her hand over my shoulder. I never knew. "I've tried to show you before, Claire," I said, my voice flat. "You called it my wheel thingy." Her face fell. I know. I was stupid. I didn't get it. I didn't get you. But I do now. Do you? I thought. Or do you just get the $220,000 and the first-class tickets to Daytona? But I didn't say it. I just nodded. Then came the real test. The payoff. Dinner at Derek and Megan's. Their house is a statement. All white marble and glass. It looks like a billionaire's panic room. Claire was vibrating with energy all night. She wore a new dress. She looked amazing. The four of them, Claire, Megan, Chloe, were in the kitchen. Derek, Tom, and I were in the living room, holding whiskeys. The brag fest began, as it always does. "Markets are crazy," Derek said, "but we managed to close the fund. The partners are happy." He smiled his smug smile. "Bonus is locked. We're going to St. Bart's for Christmas." "Nice, man," said Tom. "We just got the plaid. Honestly, it's terrifying. Chloe's scared of it. And the new VP title is a lot. All travel. I'm in Singapore all next week." And then the swivel. The look. "So Sam," Derek said, "still holding down the fort at Mutual? Keeping things stable," I said, sipping my whiskey. "Sam actually has some news," Claire said, gliding into the room. She had an angelic smile on her face. She took the seat next to me, putting her hand on my thigh. Megan and Chloe followed, wine glasses in hand. "Oh," Megan said. "Don't tell me you're finally redoing your kitchen? I have a great designer." "No, nothing like that," Claire said, her voice sweet as pie. "Sam's actually leaving Mutual." The air changed. Chloe looked genuinely concerned. "Oh, Sam. Is everything okay? Did they downsize? That's awful." "Oh no," I said. "I wasn't laid off." "He quit," Claire said, beaming. "He's pivoting." She used that word. Pivoting. Like it was a delicacy. Derek laughed. "Pivoting? Into what? Consulting? Don't tell me you're starting a crypto fund, man. Little late for that." "No," I said, enjoying this. "Nothing like that." "He's the new lead race strategist for Team Name Racing," Claire said, dropping the bomb like it was nothing. Silence. Absolute, wonderful, deafening silence. Megan and Chloe looked confused. They had no idea what that meant. Like NASCAR? Megan asked, her nose wrinkled. But Derek and Tom, they knew. Tom, the tech exec, who I knew watched F1. His jaw literally dropped. "Wait. What?" Tom said, putting his glass down. "Did you say Team Name Racing? The guys who run the factory Porsches? That team?" That's the one, I said, finally allowing myself a small smile. Holy shit, Tom said. He wasn't looking at Derek anymore. He was looking at me. Sam. That's not a job. That's the job. How in the hell did you swing that? Their strategists are all ex-F1 guys. I started to say. He's a genius, Claire cut in. You know his video game in the basement? It's not a game. It's a high-end data simulation. He's been training for this for years. He's one of the top sim data analysts in the world. They headhunted him. It was a slight exaggeration, but I let it slide. My God, Tom said, just shaking his head in respect. That is unbelievably cool. So, you'll be on the stand? At Daytona. Yep, I said. My first race is the 24. Derek, who had been silent, finally spoke. He had his finance face on. Huh. That's interesting. What's the pay like in a job like that? I can't imagine it's much. He was trying to find his win. Claire handled it. She laughed, a light, tinkling sound. Oh, I have no idea about the details, she said, waving her hand dismissively. But I do know they're flying us to Daytona next month. First class. We get hot pit passes. I guess it's just so stressful. She looked right at Megan. She used her exact words. Megan's smile was frozen on her face. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. Derek just stared into his whiskey. He had no comeback. His bonus, his trip to St. Bart's, it all just sounded so average. The rest of the night was a blur. Tom spent an hour grilling me about the car, the tech, the drivers. Derek was quiet. Megan and Chloe just faded. They talked to Claire, but the power dynamic had shattered. Claire was no longer the average wife. She was the race team wife. She was the one with the cool husband. We're at Daytona now. I'm writing this from the hotel room. It's 3 a.m. The big pre-race test, is over. My brain is soup. The job it's not a job. It's a war. It's the hardest, most intense, most draining thing I have ever done. It's 18-hour days. It's brutal pressure. It's a driver screaming in my ear about understeer while I'm trying to calculate fuel to the milliliter. And I have never, ever been happier. I'm good at this. The pressure is a variable. My models work. The which nickname has stuck. I found 1/10 of a second in a setup change that the engineers had missed. The drivers trust me. And Claire? She's in heaven. She's Pittsburgh Lane Claire now. She has a team-issued polo shirt. She takes selfies with the drivers. She's posted endlessly to Instagram. My brilliant husband at work. Just another day at the office. With a picture of a $10 million car screaming by. Megan and Chloe? They like every single picture. Megan even commented, "Looks so amazing. We're so jealous." Tom texted me. Twice. Asking if I can possibly, get him a pit pass for the Sebring race. I won. Right? I got the unaverage job. I got the money. I got the status. My wife adores me. Her friends are jealous. I should be on top of the world. But here's the thing that's eating me alive. The reason I'm typing this at 3 a.m. I'm sitting here, in this expensive hotel room, and Claire is asleep in the bed. She looks peaceful, happy. But I can't shake this one, awful thought. She's not in love with me. She's in love with this. She's in love with the polo shirt and the first-class tickets and the pit passes. She's in love with the version of me that makes her look good. I'm the same average guy. I still like to cook. I still like my basement hobby, which is now my job, but still. I'm the same Sam. She didn't support me when I was just Sam, the stable data analyst. She didn't defend me. She mocked me. She joined in. She only loves me now because I'm Sam, the lead race strategist. I got this job despite her, not because of her. I did it for myself. I did it because that night, she made me feel so small that I had to find a world where I was big. And now that I'm big, she's here for the ride. So, here's my question, Reddit. I won. I got the girl, the job, the money. I got the revenge. So why do I feel so hollow? Why do I feel like the average guy she married is still sitting in that kitchen, listening to her laugh at him? Am I an asshole for feeling this way? Should I just shut up and enjoy the ride? I got everything I'm supposed to want. But it feels wrong. TLDR, my wife constantly mocked me for my average job compared to her friends' alpha husbands. I was just a stable data analyst. I used my average hobby, sim racing, which is all data, to secretly apply for, and land, a high-paying, high-status job as a lead race strategist for a professional motorsports team. The job is double my old salary and infinitely cooler. Now my wife thinks I'm a genius, her friends are sick with jealousy, and their husbands are kissing up to me for pit passes. I got the perfect revenge. But I can't shake the feeling that my wife only loves this new status version of me, not the average guy she married. I won, but it feels like I lost something important. The first time I saw Leo in 10 years wasn't at a bar, or a class reunion, or through a mutual friend. It was on a Tuesday. I was in my new corner office, the kind with glass walls that don't really do anything but announce to the world that you're important enough to be looked at. I was 32 years old, the new VP of Product Strategy at Kratos Solutions, and I was looking at an organizational chart. My new assistant, Chloe, a terrifyingly efficient woman in her early 20s, was walking me through the teams that now reported to me. The Atlas team is solid. They handle core infrastructure. The Hyperion team is our cash cow, but the tech is legacy. And the Omega team, well. I looked up. Well, what? They're a bit of a dumpster fire, she said, not missing a beat. Their last director, Mike, was pushed out. He let them coast. Their project is 6 months behind and burning cash. It's your biggest problem. The team lead is a guy named Leo Vance. The name didn't even register. Why would it? It's a common enough name. I just nodded, a cold feeling settling in my gut. A dumpster fire. My first big test. Fine, I said. Set up one-on-ones with all the team leads. Let's start with the dumpster fire. Put Leo Vance on my calendar for tomorrow. 9 a.m. Yes, Mr. Turner, she said, and glided out. I didn't think about him again until the next morning. 9 a.m. A sharp knock. Come in. The man who walked in was not the Leo the first remembered, but it was him. There was no mistaking it. The Leo the first knew was 22, all easy charm, laughing eyes, and a loyalty I would have bet my life on. We were Mark and Leo, an unbreakable unit since we were 14, the kind of best friends that people write stories about. He was the brother I'd chosen. This man was 40-something, though I knew we were the same age. He was soft in the middle, wearing a cheap, slightly too tight polo shirt with the company logo on it. His hair was thinning, and his eyes, when they met mine, were tired and nothing. Just a mid-level manager here to meet his new boss. He hadn't looked at my face. Not really. He was just looking at the suit. Mr. Turner, he said, sticking out a clammy hand. Leo Vance. Great to finally meet you. We're all really excited about the new direction. I didn't take his hand. I just stared at his face. And I watched. He was still talking, some corporate buzzword salad about synergy and reevaluating core competencies. He hadn't processed it. I, on the other hand, was processing everything. In this single second, I processed the last 10 years. The 10 years of 100-hour work weeks. The 10 years of therapy. The 10 years of grinding my teeth in my sleep until I had to wear a mouthguard. The 10 years of looking at every new friend with a sliver of suspicion. I processed the memory of my ex-girlfriend, Sarah. My 3-year, we're-picking-out-rings girlfriend. The breakup had been devastating. It came out of nowhere. I just don't love you anymore, Mark, she'd said, her eyes cool and distant. I think we should see other people. It shattered me. And Leo, my best friend, was the one who put me back together. He was the one who'd let me crash on his couch for a week. The one who'd poured the whiskey and said, her loss, man. She's crazy. You're a catch. You'll find someone so much better. He was the one who'd listened to me cry, who'd told me it's okay to not be okay, brother. I got you. I'd leaned on him like a crutch. He was my rock. 2 months later. 2 miserable months, but I was starting to feel human. I'd even managed to go on a date. It was a disaster, but it was a step. I called Leo on a Friday. Dude. Guys' night. Pizza Halo, just like old times. I'm picking up a case of beer. He was cagey. Oh man, I can't tonight. I'm swamped. This work thing. Rain check. Liar, I'd said, laughing. You don't work. Fine. I'm coming over anyway. I'll bring the pizza. You just be there. I hung up before he could protest. I felt good. Normal. I drove to his apartment, the one we'd almost co-signed on. I had my own key. I walked up the stairs, 2 pies in hand, whistling. I was about to put my key in the lock when I heard it. A laugh. It wasn't his. It was hers. Sarah. I stopped. My blood went cold. It wasn't just a laugh. It was that laugh. The one she did when she was happy. The one I hadn't heard in months. I stood at the door for a full minute, just listening. They were talking. Their voices were low, intimate. I couldn't make out the words, just the cadence. The comfortable, easy cadence of people who know each other. Really know each other. I didn't knock. I didn't use my key. I walked back down the stairs. I put the pizzas on the hood of my car. I took out my phone. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely type. Me, are you with Sarah? My phone rang almost instantly. It was Leo. I stared at his name. Leo. My brother. I let it go to voicemail. He texted. Mark, you have to let me explain. It's not what you think. Please just pick up the phone. I texted back one word. Why? The response, when it came, was a novel. A word salad of guilt and justification. It just happened, man. After you two broke up. We were talking. She was upset. I was trying to help. Help? She came over. We talked. One thing led to another. We didn't want to hurt you, man. That's the last thing we wanted. We've been seeing each other. For a few weeks. We were going to tell you. Mark, I'm in love with her. Please don't hate me. I turned my phone off. I got in my car. I left the pizzas on the hood and just drove. I drove for 4 hours, until I ran out of gas at a station in the middle of nowhere. I sat there in the silence until the sun came up. I never spoke to him again. I blocked his number. I blocked hers. I blocked their emails. I went on social media and scrubbed them from my life. I was a ghost. 6 months later, my sister, who didn't get the memo, forwarded me their wedding announcement. They'd gotten engaged 4 months after my breakup. Married 2 months after that. The picture was sickening. Him, in a tux, looking proud. Her, in a white dress, beaming. My former best friend and my former girlfriend, mashed together. That was the day I stopped being Mark and started being Mr. Turner. That was the day the rage cooled from a bonfire to a pilot light. A tiny blue, perfect flame of cold purpose. I poured every ounce of that betrayal, that humiliation, into my work. I finished my degree with a 4.0. I took a low-level coding job at a startup. I was the first one in, the last one out. While other people were networking and dating, I was learning. I learned to manage projects. I learned to manage people. I learned to read a balance sheet. I learned to gut a budget. I learned to see a problem, analyze its component parts, and fix it ruthlessly and efficiently. I didn't climb the corporate ladder. I built my own, right past everyone else. I changed jobs every 2 years, always for more money, more responsibility, more power. I was a fixer. A shark. I was the guy you called when your flagship product was on fire. I'd come in, fire the deadweight, fix the code, and leave. I had a nice condo. A nice car. A very, very empty life. I dated, but it was transactional. I couldn't trust anyone. How could I? The one person on earth I'd trusted with my life had taken a metaphorical knife and run it through my back, all for a relationship that started while I was crying on his couch. And now, 10 years, 3 cities, and a lifetime later, here he was. Leo Vance. Team lead. He was still talking. And so we're really pivoting to a more agile-based framework, to better capture the user journey and... He was looking at the credenza behind my head. He wasn't looking at me. "Leo," I said. My voice cut through his stream of bull. He stopped, mid-word. He finally focused on my face. And I watched the blood drain out of his. His skin went from a pasty office tan to a gray waxy color I'd only ever seen in a morgue. His mouth opened, then closed. He looked from my eyes to the polished, expensive nameplate on my desk. "Mark Turner." "Mark," he whispered. It was barely a sound. "Oh my God. Mark." I leaned back in my chair. It was a Tom Ford chair. It cost more than his car. I knew this because I'd seen his '08 sedan in the parking lot. "It's Mr. Turner, actually," I said. My voice was calm. Quiet. "But Mark is fine. We're all friends here. Please, have a seat." He didn't move. He was frozen. "Leo, sit down." He collapsed into the guest chair. He looked like he was going to be sick. I didn't know," he stammered. They said the new VP was starting. They never said a name." "They're not supposed to," I said. "It's a reorganization. Standard procedure." Now, I leaned forward, pulling a yellow legal pad toward me. "Let's talk about the Omega project." "Mark, wait," he said, holding up a hand. We have to talk. My God, 10 years. I've tried to find you. To apologize." I held his gaze. "Apologize for what, Leo?" For everything. For Sarah. For how it all went down. I was an idiot. I was young." "You were 22, I said, my voice flat. "The same age as me. Not young. Just an idiot." "But," I tapped the legal pad. "That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about your project. Which, according to this report, is a complete and total disaster." I pushed a 30-page document across the desk. It was his project's pre-mortem, which I'd had Chloe pull. I'd read it at 5 a.m. Every word. "You're 6 months behind schedule," I said. "You're $1.2 million over budget. Your team's bug fix rate is the lowest in the division, and your top 3 engineers have all quit in the last quarter. Am I missing anything?" Leo was sweating. "Look, Mark. Mr. Turner, the last VP, Mike, he wasn't very hands-on." "I'm not Mike," I said. "So, I'll ask you again. Tell me about the Omega project." "Mark, please," he was begging. His eyes were wet. "Don't do this." "Don't do what?" I asked, genuinely curious. "My job? My job is to fix this dumpster fire. You are the team lead. So, you're going to help me. Or," I let the word hang there, "you're not." He deflated. The shock was wearing off, and pure, animal terror was replacing it. He understood. Oh, he understood perfectly. The project," he stammered, pulling the report toward him with a trembling hand. The scope changed. And we lost our lead developer." I let him talk for 10 minutes. I just listened. He was a terrible project manager. He was all excuses. The other team didn't deliver, marketing changed the specs, we didn't have the resources. He was weak. He hadn't changed at all. He was the same man who'd taken the easy way out 10 years ago. When he was finished, I just nodded. "Right," I said. "Thank you for that comprehensive overview. Here's what's going to happen. I'm putting the Omega project on a 90-day review. And I'm putting you on a performance improvement plan." The color, which had been gone, somehow managed to drain even further. A pip. The corporate kiss of death. "Mr. Turner." "Mark, that's not fair," he whispered. I'm good at my job." "Your own report says you're not," I said, holding it up. "But I believe in second chances." I almost choked on the lie. "So, this PIP isn't a punishment. It's a partnership. You and I are going to be working very, very closely. We'll have daily stand-up meetings. 8 a.m. My office. You will send me a full report of your team's progress at 5 p.m. every day. And I will be attending your weekly team meetings. In fact, I checked my watch, your next one is at 11, isn't it?" I'll see you there. Mark, he said, his voice cracking. Sarah, we have 2 kids. I flinched. It was the first time I'd felt anything other than ice. 2 kids. He'd brought them into this. 2 innocent lives, brought into the world by 2 of the most selfish people I'd ever known. I stood up, walking to the glass wall and looking out over the sea of cubicles. His team. That's wonderful, Leo, I said, my back to him. I'm happy for you. Happy you have a family to provide for. That should be excellent motivation for you to succeed in this performance improvement plan. Don't you think? I turned. He was a broken man. Get out, I said. He scrambled to his feet, fumbling with the report. And Leo. He stopped, his hand on the doorknob. Welcome to Kratos Solutions. I'm very excited to be working with you. He fled. He didn't walk out. He fled. I sat down. My hands were perfectly steady. I took a sip of my coffee. It was cold. I buzzed Chloe. Chloe, could you get me a fresh coffee? Black. And please clear my schedule for 11. I'll be attending the Omega team meeting. Right away, Mr. Turner. I was calm. I was professional. I was in complete control. The revenge wasn't to fire him. That was too easy. That was messy. That would raise questions, and if the Sarah thing ever came out, it could be a massive HR nightmare for me. No. The score wasn't to fire him. It was to fix him. It was to take Leo Vance, the lazy, coasting, charming snake, and personally, professionally, and ruthlessly forge him into a competent employee. I wasn't going to be his boss. I was going to be his owner. I would give him just enough rope to do the job, and I would be there every single day to remind him who was holding the other end. This wasn't about revenge. This was about justice. The next 90 days were a masterclass in professional, psychological warfare. Our 8 a.m. meetings were the stuff of nightmares. His, not mine. The first day, he showed up at 8:03 a.m. You're late, I said, not looking up from my screen. It's 8:03, Mark. 8 a.m. is 8 a.m. Punctuality demonstrates respect for other people's time. Your lack of it tells me you don't respect mine. Sit down. What's the status of the server migration? He'd stammer. We're working on it. Jenkins he's running into some pipeline issues. Jenkins? Your junior developer? Why is your junior developer handling a P1 level server migration? Where is your senior architect, Desai? Well, Desai he's focused on the front end. So you have your senior architect, who specializes in database management, working on CSS, while your brand new junior dev, who's still on his probationary period, is handling the single most critical and volatile part of your entire infrastructure. Is that what I'm hearing? When you put it like that. I'm not putting it any way, Leo. I'm just repeating what you said. Fix it. Have Desai on the migration by noon. I want a full report on the new architecture by 5 p.m. And get Jenkins a mentor. You're burning him out. Next. I was relentless. I wasn't mean. That's the key. I was never mean. I never raised my voice. I never insulted him. I was just correct. All the time. I read every line of code his team checked in. I read every document. I knew his project better than he did. After a week, he was a wreck. He had dark circles under his eyes. He'd lost weight. On Friday, at our 8 a.m., he tried a different tactic. Mark man, he said, trying for the old, easy charm. This is intense. Can't we just, I don't know, grab a beer? Talk this out? For old time's sake. I looked at him. I let the silence stretch. I don't drink with my subordinates, Leo. It's unprofessional. Now, about that 5 p.m. report from yesterday. You sent it at 5:32 p.m. Why? I was in a meeting. With marketing. Your 5 p.m. report is your single highest priority. It is my one window into your team's progress. If you are in a meeting, you leave the meeting. You send the report. And then you go back. Are we clear? Mark, that's insane. I can't just walk out on another VP. You can, and you will. Or, you'll send the report before the meeting. I don't care how you do it. I care that you do it. 5 p.m. Not 5:01. Not 5:32. 5 p.m. Now, about the report itself. It was lacking. I tore his work apart. Not his personality. Not his character. His work. I was an artist with a scalpel. I was a surgeon, and he was the tumor. About a month in, he cracked. He showed up at 8:15 a.m. Disheveled. Smelling of sour. You're 15 minutes late, Leo. This is unacceptable. My kid is sick, he yelled. He just snapped. He was standing in the middle of my office, shaking. My son, he has an ear infection, and he was screaming all night. And Sarah, we were up. We're exhausted. I'm only human, Mark. Please. I stood up. I walked to the mini fridge in my credenza and took out a bottle of water. I opened it and handed it to him. Sit down, Leo, I said, my voice soft. He looked at me, surprised. He took the water and sat. He was crying. Silently. I let him. I sat opposite him. I waited. When he was done, I spoke. I'm sorry to hear about your son, I said. And I was. I'm not a monster. I hope he feels better. It's terrible when kids are sick. Thank you, Mark, he whispered, wiping his face. I'm so tired. I understand. Which is why you should have called. Or emailed. Or texted. You have my number. You have my email. You have Chloe's number. Kratos Solutions has a very generous family leave and sick day policy. If you needed the morning, you should have taken it. I was afraid, he admitted. Afraid of what? I asked. Afraid of me? Leo, I am not your enemy. I am your manager. Your job is to manage your team. My job is to manage you. And that includes managing your workflow. If you are burning out, if you have a family emergency, you communicate that. Proactively. You don't just show up late and expect me to read your mind. We're a team. I smiled. This is a coaching moment, Leo. You're learning. Next time, what will you do? He looked at me, his eyes wide with a new dawning horror. The horror of my reasonableness. I'll email, he said. Exactly. You'll email. Now, drink your water. We've wasted enough time. Let's talk about the Q3 projections. They're optimistic, to say the least. He was my prisoner. But the prison wasn't made of steel bars. It was made of HR-approved corporate speak, relentless professionalism, and an unassailable, unceasing, suffocating level of helpfulness. He started to change. Because here's the thing, my plan was working. I was forcing him to actually manage. He started anticipating my questions. His 5 p.m. reports became good. They were detailed. They were insightful. His 8 a.m. presentations were competent. He was reallocating resources properly. He was defending his team. He was pushing back on other departments, not just rolling over. He was still terrified of me. But he was becoming a good team lead. I was fixing the Omega project. I was fixing him. And I hated it. No, that's not right. I loved it. This was better than firing him. Firing him was an end. This was a process. Then came the Sarah encounter. It was about 2 months into the PIP. I was working late. I'd been at the office for 14 hours. I was walking to my car in the executive garage. It was dark, silent, just the hum of the fluorescent lights. And she was there. She was leaning against his car. The '08 sedan. She looked different. 10 years had happened to her, too. She was still pretty, but the easy, bright-eyed girl was gone. She looked tired, worn down. She was wearing yoga pants and a sweatshirt. She was a mom. She saw me. Her face hardened. Mark, she said. Her voice was cold. Sarah, I said. I stopped, keeping a good 10 feet between us. I knew it was you, she said. The day he came home. He was a ghost. I've never seen him like that. I'm not sure what we're discussing, I said. I'm his boss. He's my employee. That's it. Don't, she snapped. Don't you dare play that game with me, Mark. This PIP. This 8 a.m. This, hell you're putting him through. This is you. This is all you. You're destroying him. Destroying him? I actually laughed. It was a dry, ugly sound that echoed in the garage. Sarah, I am the only thing saving him. When I got here, his project was $1.2 million in the red and 6 months from being cancelled. He was on the verge of being fired. Along with his entire team. I am fixing his mess. I am saving his job. This isn't saving him. This is torture. You know what he's like. He's sensitive. He doesn't do well under this kind of pressure. Well, I said, adjusting the strap of my laptop bag. He should have thought of that 10 years ago. Ah, there it was. The truth. It just slipped out. Her face crumpled. Mark, please. What happened? It was terrible. We were horrible. Okay? We were young. We were selfish. We were in love. And we betrayed you. We know that. And I am so sorry. She was crying. Real tears. Your apology is 10 years too late, I said. And frankly, I don't beat at 8R. I don't care. You don't even register. You're a footnote. An anecdote. You're the why I went to therapy. Then why are you doing this? She pleaded. This. I said, gesturing between us. This is nothing. What I am doing, as you put it, is my job. Your husband is my employee. He is adequate. Barely. And I am managing him. That's all this is. The past, it's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. You're a sociopath. I'm a VP, I corrected her. And you are loitering in a private garage. If you'll excuse me, I have to go. I started to walk away. He loves you, she yelled. He misses you. He's never forgiven himself. I stopped. I turned back. I walked right up to her. Close enough that I could smell the shampoo on her hair. It was strawberry. The same kind. He doesn't get to miss me, I whispered. My voice was shaking, just a little. He doesn't get to not forgive himself. He gave up that right. He gave up all the rights. He made his choice. He chose you. And this, I gestured at the cheap car, the parking garage, this is what he won. I looked her in the eyes. You think I'm doing this to hurt him? That's adorable. This has nothing to do with him. This has to do with the Omega Project. A project I am responsible for. He's a cog. A broken cog that I am patiently and professionally putting back together. Now, if you are not an employee of Kratos Solutions, I must ask you to leave the premises. Or I'll have security escort you out. She stared at me. Her face was a mask of hatred. And fear. You've changed, Mark, she whispered. You're cold. Yes, I am, I said. They say you should dress for the job you want. I wanted this one. And it gets very, very cold at the top. Good night, Sarah. I walked to my car. A brand new, black-on-black Audi S8. I got in. I started it. The engine was silent. I pulled out of the garage. I didn't look back. I got home to my sterile, empty condo. I poured a glass of Macallan 25. And for the first time in 10 years, I cried. I don't know why. It wasn't for her. It wasn't for him. It was for the 22-year-old kid who used to believe in things. The kid who used to have a best friend. I pulled myself together after about 10 minutes. I drank the scotch. I went to bed. I slept. The next morning, I was at the gym at 5 a.m. In the office by 7. At 8 a.m., Leo knocked. He was on time. He looked terrible. He knew. Sarah had told him. He walked in. He sat down. He put his laptop on the table. He didn't say a word. Leo, I said. Don't, he said. He looked up. His eyes were red. Just don't. What do you want? What's on the agenda today? The 90-day review, I said. Today is day 90. Ah, he said. So it is. So, what's the verdict? Am I fired? He looked relieved at the thought. And that's when I knew. Firing him, that wasn't the play. That was letting him off. Letting him escape. He wanted to be fired. He wanted to be the martyr. The victim. The man who'd been hounded out of his job by his bitter sociopathic ex-friend. He could go home to Sarah, they'd bond over it. They'd be the victims. And I'd be the monster. No. I sat back. I looked at him. Really looked at him. He wasn't Leo, my ex-friend. He wasn't Sarah's husband. He was Leo Vance, team lead. My team lead. A team lead who, for 90 days, had been put through a corporate forge and hadn't broken. He was competent. He was motivated. He was fixed. Fired. I said, "Why would I fire you?" He was confused. The PIP. It's over. Yes, it is. And I pulled up a document on my screen. I turned the monitor so he could see it. This is your 90-day review. It's excellent. He stared. What? I'm serious. Read it. He read. His eyes scanned the page. Leo Vance has demonstrated significant and sustained improvement. Has successfully rescoped the Omega project, bringing it back in line with budgetary constraints. Has shown remarkable leadership in remotivating his team. Bug fix rate has improved by 400%. I have full confidence in Mr. Vance's ability to lead this project to completion. He looked up at me. He was just empty. He couldn't process. I don't understand, he whispered. It's not complicated, Leo, I said. I turned the monitor back. You were a terrible project manager. Just awful. You were lazy, unfocused. You were all excuses. And you were coasting on the goodwill of a boss who didn't care. You were a mistake. I used Sarah's word. I saw him flinch. For 90 days, I've managed you. I've given you the tools, the structure, and the motivation to succeed. And you know what? You did. You're competent. You're a good team lead. So, what? What now? He asked. Now? Now you get to work, I said. The PIP is over. The 8 a.m. meetings are done. You've graduated. You're just my team lead. A team lead I trust. A team lead I respect. Professionally. He just stared. Mark, why? He finally asked. His voice was a rasp. Why do this? Why not just fire me? Why put us through this? I stood up. I walked to the window. You think this was about you? I asked. You think, for 1 second, that I have spent the last 90 days, 14 hours a day, obsessing over you? Over Sarah? I turned. Leo, you're a line item. You're an asset. You were a broken asset. And I fixed you. My revenge? My revenge was that I couldn't fire you. I couldn't let you be a victim. Firing you would have been an admission that this past was bigger than my career. That you were more important than this company's bottom line. And you're not. I walked over to my desk. I picked up his review. You're not my ex-best friend, I said. You're not the man who betrayed me. You're not the man who married my ex. You're Leo Vance. You're my director of product for the Omega team. His head snapped up. What? Oh, I said, as if I'd forgotten. That's the other thing. I'm promoting you. Effective immediately. Full director. With a 20% pay bump. He looked like I'd punched him in the stomach. You're promoting me. Yes. You earned it. You did the work. You turned the dumpster fire into well, a functional, slightly smelly but not on fire project. You deserve it. And I need a director I can trust on Omega. And you, Leo, I know you. I know exactly what you're capable of. I know exactly how to motivate you. He was. I don't know what he was. He was gone. The man in the chair was just a shell. So, that's it, he said. You win? You get to be my boss forever. Win. I said, Leo, this was never a game. This is my life. This is the score. I held out the paper. The review. The promotion. Now, I said, take your review. Go tell Sarah. Go tell your kids. You're a director. You're a success. Congratulations. He took the paper. His hand was shaking. Just one question, he whispered. Go on. Was any of it real? Our friendship. Before. Was any of that? Did it mean anything to you? I looked at him. The kid I'd known. The guy I'd loved. My brother. It meant everything, I said. My voice was thick. It was the only thing that did mean anything. Until it didn't. I straightened my tie. You're a director now, Leo, I said. Which means you have a lot more responsibility. Your new office is on the 10th floor. With the other directors. I'll see you at the 9 a.m. directors meeting. Monday. Mark. That's Mr. Turner, director. Don't be late. He stood. He looked at the paper. He looked at me. And he just nodded. He walked out of my office. So, that's it. That was 6 months ago. Leo is a great director. He's one of my best. He's motivated. He's sharp. He's terrified. He's a man who works every single day knowing that his entire life, his mortgage, his kids' college fund, his identity, is in the hands of the man he betrayed. He knows I can destroy him. He knows I'm capable of it. And he knows that I won't. Not because I forgive him. I'll never forgive him. But because it's unprofessional. We have a good working relationship. It's all Mr. Turner and Mr. Vance. He sends me his reports. They're always on time. They're always perfect. Sarah, she doesn't come to the office parties. Leo, he comes. He stands in the corner. He has one drink. And he leaves. I'm still a VP. I'm still single. I'm going to therapy. My therapist, she says I need to find constructive closure. I'm not sure if this was constructive. But it's closure. Firing him? That would have been revenge. Making him succeed? Making him earn his keep every single day under the watchful eye of the ghost he thought he buried? That feels like justice. I, 44M, helped my stepson, 17M, get a life-changing internship. I just found his chat logs with his biological dad, 45M, about me. I think I'm going to be sick. This was supposed to be the best week of our lives. This past Tuesday, my wife Sarah, 43F, her son Liam, 17M, and I went out to the nicest steakhouse in the city. The kind of place with dark wood, heavy knives, and waiters who call you sir. We were celebrating. Liam, my stepson, had just landed a summer internship at a major software development firm. This isn't just some get-coffee internship. This is a 6-figure pro rata work on a real project internship that basically guarantees him a spot at any Tier 1 CS program in the country. He's a senior in high school, and he's already got his future on a silver platter. And I handed it to him. I was so proud, my chest physically hurt. I made a toast. I raised my glass of expensive whiskey and I looked at this kid, this tall, smart, funny kid I've raised as my own since he was 10, and I told him I was proud of him. I told him he'd earned it. I might have even gotten a little choked up, which he and Sarah both playfully mocked me for. He smiled that smile of his, the one that's all his mom, and said, Thanks, David. Seriously. I couldn't have done it without you. That was Tuesday. A perfect night. I have a picture of it. The three of us, arms around each other, grinning. I looked at that picture for a long time yesterday. I don't know who those people are anymore. Yesterday, Wednesday, my life fell apart. And it all started because I needed a specific kind of USB-C charger. To understand why this is destroying me, you have to understand my relationship with Liam. And to understand that, you have to understand me. I can't have children. My first marriage ended over it. It's a simple, brutal medical fact. I have a genetic condition that rendered me sterile. My ex-wife and I tried everything, and the long, slow, grinding failure of it all just eroded us until we were two strangers living in the same house, poisoning the air with resentment. I thought I would never be a father. It was a grief I carried with me every single day, a hole in my life I just learned to walk around. Then I met Sarah. She was divorced, a single mom to a quiet, slightly nerdy 10-year-old named Liam. Her ex-husband, Mark, was, well, he's a type. He's the big ideas guy who never has a job. The my big break is just around the corner guy who's perpetually in between projects. He was charming, I'm sure, which is how he landed Sarah. But he was also unreliable, narcissistic, and fundamentally lazy. Their divorce was messy because he fought for custody he didn't really want, just to spite her. In the end, Sarah got primary custody, and Mark moved 2 towns over to live in his sister's basement, seeing Liam every other weekend. When I started dating Sarah, I was terrified of Liam. I didn't want to be the new dad. I didn't want to replace anyone. I just wanted to be a good, stable man in his life. Mark was already filling his head with junk. Mark, who drove a 20-year-old beater and borrowed money from his own son, which Sarah had to put a stop to, was telling Liam that I was the bad guy. I was the rich stiff, the suit, who was trying to buy his family. So I took it slow. I didn't push. I just existed. I was the guy who was always there. The guy who, when Liam mentioned he liked a certain sci-fi show, had seen every episode and could debate the warp drive physics. The guy who, when Liam's ancient laptop died, didn't just buy him a new one, but bought all the parts and spent a weekend with him, teaching him how to build a gaming PC from scratch. That was our first real bonding moment. He was 11. He was so meticulous, so careful with the motherboard, his tongue sticking out in concentration. When we finally booted it up and the OS logo appeared, he didn't cheer. He just gave me this small awestruck look and said, "Whoa. We made that." That was the groove we found. I wasn't the disciplinarian dad. I was the project dad. The mentor dad. Sarah handled the day-to-day. I handled the let's figure out how the world works stuff. And Mark? Mark was the Disneyland dad who'd show up every other Saturday, take Liam to a movie, buy him a giant popcorn, and drop him off 5 hours late, hyped up on sugar and full of empty promises about the dirt bike or the trip to Japan he was definitely going to get him. For 7 years, I built a life with this boy. I taught him how to tie a Windsor knot for his first school dance. I taught him how to drive stick on my old college car, laughing our heads off every time he stalled out in a high school parking lot. When he was 16, Mark promised him a car for his birthday. He talked about it for months. A Mustang, a Camaro, something cool. On his birthday, Mark was a no-show. Didn't even call. Liam was quiet for a week. Not angry, just hollowed out. I didn't want to be the guy who just buys his way out of a problem. So I went on Craigslist and found a 1998 Jeep Wrangler. A total rust bucket. It barely ran. I towed it to our house and parked it in the garage. When Liam got home, I pointed at it and said, "There's your car." He was furious. "That's a piece of junk. It doesn't even run. Mark is getting me a Mustang." I tossed him a socket wrench. "Mark isn't getting you anything. But we can build this. If you want to drive, you're going to learn how to change your own oil, how to replace a radiator, and how to tell the difference between a Phillips head and a flathead. You put in the work with me, and the car is yours. Title, insurance, gas. All of it." It took us 6 months. Every Tuesday and Thursday night, and all day Saturday. We got greasy. We busted our knuckles. We swore at rusted bolts. I taught him how to use a torque wrench, how to bleed brake lines, how to wire new headlights. We watched hundreds of hours of YouTube tutorials. And through it all, we talked. He told me about school, about the girls he liked, about his fear of college, about how angry he was at Mark. It was, I thought, the single most important thing I had ever done. When we finally turned the key and that engine roared to life, clean, tuned, and steady, he looked at me with tears in his eyes. He just hugged me. A real, bone-crushing hug. He was 16. It was the first time he'd hugged me like that. "Thanks, David," he whispered. "Thanks for, everything." He drove that Jeep to school every day. He loved that thing more than anything. And I loved that we had built it. It was our trophy. A year before that, when he was 15, he got into a fight at school. He was suspended. Sarah was beside herself, crying, asking him, "What were you thinking?" He wouldn't talk. He just locked himself in his room. I let Sarah cool off, and then I went in. I didn't yell. I just sat on his bed and waited. After about 10 minutes of silence, he finally cracked. He was being bullied. Relentlessly. A group of jocks were harassing him in the locker room, not for being a nerd, but for being poor. They'd seen Mark pick him up once in his beat-up sedan. They called him trailer trash. They'd been doing it for months. The fight started because one of them pushed him and said, "You and your Real dad can go back to the gutter where you belong." Liam broke down. He was so ashamed. Not of the fight, but of Mark. He was ashamed of where he came from. I held him while he cried. A 15-year-old boy, sobbing in my arms. I told him there was no shame in who his father was, and that the only thing that matters is the man he chooses to be. I told him I was proud of him for standing up for himself, even if violence wasn't the answer. I handled it. I went to the school. I had a conversation with the principal that was less of a conversation and more of a one-way street. I laid out the facts of the bullying and the school's negligence. The kids were suspended. It stopped. But I didn't stop there. Liam felt powerless. So I signed him up for a coding boot camp on the weekends, to build his confidence in his skills. And I signed him up for Krav Maga classes twice a week. I told him, "You'll never have to fight. But you'll know how to, and that knowledge is all you'll need." He thrived. He got strong. He got confident. He aced the boot camp. He started walking with his head held high. He and I were tighter than ever. We were a team. There was one time, I think he was 16, he was telling a story at the dinner table, and he said, "And then David, he corrected himself fast. Sarah and I locked eyes. We never spoke about it. But my heart nearly beat out of my chest. This is the boy I raised. This is the son I thought I had. Now, we get to the internship. Liam is a genius with code. He just gets it. It's a language he speaks fluently. He wants to go to MIT or Carnegie Mellon. I work in tech. I'm a VP at a pretty significant company. I have connections. A very close friend of mine, a guy I went to college with, is a hiring director at one of the biggest software firms in the world. I called him. I said, "I have a kid. He's brilliant. He's my stepson. But I swear, I wouldn't be calling you if he wasn't the real deal." I was very clear with Liam. "Liam, I can get you an interview. I cannot get you the job. This is a real deal, high-level position. They don't hire high schoolers. You will have to be better than the college juniors you're up against. I can open the door, but you have to walk through it and prove you belong there." He understood. Or so I thought. For the next month, I prepped him. Every night. We ran technical interviews. I set up whiteboarding problems in my office. I grilled him on data structures, on algorithms, on Python, on C++. I was hard on him. Harder than I'd ever been. I told him, "They're going to eat you alive if you're not prepared. My reputation is on the line. Your future is on the line." He worked his ass off. He was exhausted but energized. He rose to the challenge. He went to the interview. It was a 3-hour panel. He came home looking pale, but he had that small smile. I think I nailed it," he said, trying to be cool. He got the call a week later. He got the job. He was in. We were ecstatic. Sarah cried. Liam actually yelled, a yes, that shook the windows. And I felt a once-in-a-lifetime kind of pride. This was it. This was the culmination of everything. My son. My son was on his way. This brings us to yesterday. Wednesday. I was working from home. Sarah was out running errands, and Liam was at school. I was in my office and needed a specific high-wattage USB-C charger for my work laptop, and I knew Liam had one for his MacBook. I went into his room. It was messy, as usual. Clothes on the floor, books on his desk. His laptop was on his desk, open and on. He's usually so good about his privacy, but he must have been in a hurry. It was on a chat program. Discord. The screen was on. And it was open to a chat history with a user named Mark_D. His dad. I'm not proud of what I did next. I know it was a violation of his privacy. I know. But I saw my name. I was just grabbing the cable, and I glanced at the screen. The last message from Liam was, "Yeah, David is eating it up. He's totally convinced I'm one of them now." My blood ran cold. Eating what up? I stood there, frozen. My hand was still on the charger. I told myself to walk away. Just walk away. Don't do it. Don't look. I couldn't. I sat down in his chair. My heart was a drum in my ears. I scrolled up. The conversation was from Tuesday night, after our celebration dinner. Mark_D, so the old man pulled the strings for his golden boy? Liam, LOL yeah. He gave this whole speech, I can only get you the interview. Whatever. He basically handed it to his buddy and said, hire my kid. Pathetic. Mark_D, attaboy. Milk that cow. You get that job, you get that money, and you get that college acceptance. Then you can drop the perfect son act. Liam, I'm so tired of it. We went to dinner and he gave this whole, I'm so proud of you son speech. I almost barfed. He was like, crying. Mark_D, ha. What a simp. Your mom picked a good wallet, I'll give her that. Just play the game, kid. That internship is your ticket to getting away from that tool. Liam, I know. Play the part. He's taking me to look at colleges next month. But I can get him to spring for the new M3 laptop for college prep, ha. Mark_D, good. Don't you forget who your real dad is. Don't forget who you are. Liam, don't worry. He's just the bank. You're my dad. I couldn't breathe. It felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He's just the bank. Milk that cow. What a simp. My hands were shaking. This wasn't real. It was a joke. It had to be. This wasn't my Liam. This wasn't the kid I'd spent 6 months under a jeep with. This wasn't the kid who cried in my arms. I scrolled. I kept scrolling. I felt like I was falling. I went back months. I went back years. I found the chat log from the day we finished the jeep. Liam, 16, the piece of crap finally runs. Took long enough. Mark_D, he make you do all the work. Liam, he's an idiot. He kept trying to make it a bonding moment. My hands are covered in grease and I smell like an engine. It's so lame. Mark_D, just pretend you're learning something. A free car is a free car. Better than walking. Did he put you on his insurance? Liam, yeah. He's paying for everything. He's such a pushover. He actually thinks I like this rust bucket. I'm gonna drive it for a year and then sell it for parts and tell him it got stolen. Mark_D, that's my boy. Smart. I had to put my head between my knees. I was going to throw up. The Jeep. Our Jeep. The thing I saw as a monument to our relationship. He saw it as a prop. A free car from a pushover. I remembered the hug. The tears in his eyes. It was all fake. A performance. A lie. I was sobbing. Just sitting there in his empty room, making these horrible, silent, choking sounds. I kept going. I had to know. I had to see it all. I found the log from the day after the bullying incident. Liam, 15, got in a fight with those preppy jerks. Got suspended. Mark_D, did you win? Liam, yeah, I clocked him pretty good. Mark_D, nice. Your mom freaking out. Liam, totally. But David handled it. He thinks he's my hero now, LOL. Mark_D, what did he do? Liam, he's taking me to some nerd camp for coding. And karate or some crap. He thinks he's Mr. Miyagi. You'll never have to fight, but you'll know how. What a tool. Mark_D, just humor him, kid. At least you're not grounded. Your mom would have taken your computer. Just play the sad, scared kid card. He'll eat it up. You can probably get a new graphics card out of him for your trauma. Liam, already on it. Told him the fight made me realize I need to focus on my future. He's so predictable. I couldn't read anymore. I closed the laptop. I staggered out of his room. I went to the bathroom and was violently, horribly sick. I retched until there was nothing left but bile. Every memory. Every single one. Every laugh. Every late-night talk. Every inside joke. Every thanks, David. Every single moment of pride and love I felt for that boy. It was all a lie. He wasn't my son. He was a con artist. A 17-year-old grifter. And I was his Mark. I was the bank. The wallet. The pushover. The simp. And his father. His real father, Mark. He wasn't just a deadbeat. He was a coach. He was orchestrating this. He was actively, maliciously poisoning his son against me, teaching him how to manipulate me, how to milk the cow. They were a team. They've been laughing at me together for 7 years. I went into my office and I sat in my chair. I didn't move for an hour. I just stared at the wall. I felt hollow. I felt a grief that was 1,000 times worse than my infertility. This wasn't the absence of a child. This was the betrayal of one. I replayed everything. The pride in my voice at the steakhouse. I'm so proud of you, son. He was mocking me. He was sitting there, eating a $100 steak I was paying for, and texting his real dad about what a tool I was. I thought about the internship. My friend. My reputation. I didn't just open a door. I pushed. I called my friend and I vouched for Liam. I sold him. I used my own personal capital to get him in. And Liam knew it. His "I can only get you the interview" was him mocking my own words. Sarah came home. She found me in the office. The lights were off. David? Honey, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I couldn't speak. What's wrong? Is it work? Are you sick? She put her hand on my forehead. I flinched. I couldn't help it. David, you're scaring me. I just shook my head. I can't. Not yet. I need to wait until Liam gets home. Liam? Did something happen to Liam? No, I said, and my voice sounded like gravel. Nothing happened to him. The wait was agonizing. I heard the front door open at 3:30. I heard his footsteps. He was whistling. Whistling. He poked his head into my office. Hey, David. Guess what? My start date is confirmed. They just sent the email. July 1st. I'm so stoked. He was smiling. That same, perfect, fake smile. I looked at him. I really looked at him. I didn't see the kid I loved. I saw a stranger. A predator. Liam, I said. My voice was dead. My office. Now. Close the door. The smile vanished. He knew. Instantly. The confidence, the stoked energy. It all evaporated. He became sullen, wary. Okay? What's up? He came in and shut the door. Sarah was hovering in the hallway, worried. I didn't waste time. I was in your room. I needed your USB-C charger. He was blank. Okay. Your laptop was open. I watched his face. To your chat with Mark. He didn't panic. He didn't look ashamed. He didn't cry. His face hardened. He crossed his arms. The mask was off. The boy I knew was gone, and this thing was in his place. You read my private messages, he said. It was an accusation. You called me the bank. He was silent. You said I was pathetic. You said I was milking the cow. You and him, you've been laughing at me. For years. He just stared at me. The Jeep. I whispered. Was that a lie? The Mr. Miyagi, the bullying, was that all just a card to play? To get a graphics card? Still, he said nothing. He just looked at me with this contempt. The internship. I said, my voice finally cracking. The dinner. Thanks, David, I couldn't have done it without you. Was that all a joke? And then he said it. The word that ended my life. So. He shrugged. So? What did you expect? You're not my dad. You're just some guy my mom married. You offered all that stuff. What was I supposed to say no? Oh no, David, please don't get me a life-changing internship at a FAANG company. Oh no, please don't help me build a free car. I loved you, I stammered. I felt so stupid. So weak. I loved you, Liam. I thought we were. I thought you were my son. You're not my dad, he finally yelled. Mark is my dad. You're nothing. You're just a wallet. You think you can just buy a family? You think you can buy me? I'm not for sale. I didn't buy you. I roared back, finally finding my voice. I raised you. I was there. I was there every single day when he was gone. I was there when you were sick. I was there when you were bullied. I was there when he broke your heart on your birthday. I was there. I'm the one who taught you how to be a man. He taught you how to be a thief. Go to hell, he screamed. Get out. I yelled. Get out of my office. Get out of my house. He stormed out. Sarah was standing in the hall, her hands over her mouth, her face a mask of horror. She'd heard it all. Liam, she screamed as he ran to his room. Liam, what did you do? He read my messages. Liam yelled back, grabbing a backpack from his closet and stuffing clothes into it. He's a psycho. You told her. I said to David, my voice shaking. You told her what you did? What you said? Liam zipped his bag. I'm going to my dad's. My real dad's. Liam, don't you dare walk out that door. Sarah pleaded. He pushed past her. He looked at me one last time, his eyes filled with pure, unadulterated hatred. I hate you, he spat. Then he was gone. The front door slammed shut. Sarah just collapsed. She fell against the wall and slid to the floor, sobbing. I didn't know, David. I swear to God, I didn't know. I had no idea. Oh my God. Oh my God. I believed her. I still believe her. I know she's not part of this. She's as much a victim of Mark's poison as I am. But as I looked at her, crying on the floor, all I could see was him. Her face. His smile. I turned around, went back into my office, and locked the door. That was 24 hours ago. I slept in my office. Sarah slept in the guest room. I can hear her crying. Liam is at Mark's. He's been posting on his Instagram. Pictures of him and Mark, grinning. Captioned with my real family. My phone has been blowing up. Sarah texting me, please talk to me. We can fix this. He's just a kid. He's 17. He's stupid. Mark has been poisoning his mind. He doesn't mean it. Please, David. But he did mean it. I saw his eyes. The so wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a 17-year-old's stupidity. It was a 17-year-old's confession. He's been running a long con on me since he was 10. And his father was his partner in crime. I'm sitting here in my office, staring at the picture from the steakhouse. The happy family. My son is a sociopath. My wife is a wreck. And I am a fool. A 44-year-old sterile pathetic fool who was so desperate for a son that he ignored the red flags and let himself be milked like a cow. Here's my problem, Reddit. Here's what I need to know. The internship is still on. It starts in 3 weeks. I haven't called my friend yet. I can make one phone call and it's over. Personal family issues. He's not a good fit. It would be the truth. It would destroy his guaranteed college acceptance. It would probably ruin his chances at a top-tier school. It would be justice. His college applications are on the dining room table. I'm the one paying. The tuition for the schools he wants is astronomical. I've been saving for it since I married his mother. The Jeep is in the driveway. The title is in my name. I can have it towed. I love my wife. I truly do. But she is his mother. She will forgive him. She already is. She will want him to come home. She will want us to be a family again. If I stay with Sarah, I will have to see his face again. I will have to sit at a dinner table with him. I will have to pretend. And I don't know if I can. I don't think I can ever look at him again without seeing the bank. But if I leave Sarah, I lose everything. I lose the woman I love, the home we built. I'll be alone again. What do I do? Do I burn his life to the ground? Do I cancel the internship, pull the college money, and take the car? Do I take the nuclear option, and tell my wife she has to choose? Him or me? Or do I just swallow it? Do I accept that I was a mark? Do I keep playing the part for the sake of my wife? Do I keep paying for the bank, just to keep the peace? I've spent my entire adult life mourning the son I could never have. And now I'm mourning the one I thought I did. I'm so lost. And I'm so broken. Title: My boss fired me for budget cuts, then tried to hire me back when my new company became his biggest competitor. The meeting invite was titled Strategic Realignment Check-In. If you've worked in corporate America for more than 15 minutes, you know that title is code for someone's getting screwed, and it's rarely the person who sent the invite. I walked into the glass-walled conference room on the 14th floor. My boss, David, was already there, sitting next to an HR rep I'd never seen before. David had that practiced, insincere smile plastered on his face, the one he used when he was about to ask you to work all weekend for no reason. Mark, thanks for joining us. Grab a seat. I sat. The HR rep, Brenda, didn't look up from her laptop, just typed. The air felt thick and cold. Mark, David started, steepling his fingers. As you know, the market's been tough. We're facing some significant headwinds, and we've had to make some very difficult decisions to right-size the organization and align with our core strategic priorities. He was drowning me in buzzwords. I just stared at him. Okay. And unfortunately, that means we're having to make some changes to our team structure. Effective immediately, your position at Logix Core is being eliminated. There it was. It felt less like a bomb and more like the floor just silently dropping away. I'd been at Logix Core for 8 years. I wasn't just an employee, I was the senior architect for our entire logistics platform. I'd built the damn thing from the ground up. Your position is eliminated? I repeated, the words tasting like ash. What does that even mean? We're in the middle of the Apex rollout. It's my project. David's smile tightened. Yes, well, about that. The board has decided to pivot on the Apex strategy. We're moving in a different direction. This is purely a budgetary decision, Mark. It has nothing to do with your performance, which has always been satisfactory. Satisfactory? I had single-handedly saved the company 40% on server costs last year. I was the guy they called at 3 a.m. when the entire system went down. So I'm being laid off. Your position is being eliminated, Brenda the HR bot corrected, finally looking up. Her eyes were completely neutral. It's a reduction in force. Here is your separation agreement. She slid a thick folder across the table. David stood up, adjusting his cuffs. Mark, this is just business. I want to thank you for your contributions. Your access will be revoked at 10 a.m. You'll have until then to gather your personal belongings. Brenda will escort you. And that was it. 8 years, gone in a 3-minute meeting. No, we'll fight for you, no, this sucks. Just a pre-written script and a folder full of legal papers. The betrayal felt like a physical weight. David, the guy I'd mentored, the guy who'd taken my ideas and presented them as his own in board meetings, was cutting me loose with the emotional investment of someone taking out the trash. As Brenda stood by my desk, watching me put a sad-looking desk plant and a framed photo into a cardboard box, I saw him. Greg. David's pet. A slick junior-level guy who was great at making PowerPoint slides and nodding enthusiastically in meetings. He was walking out of David's office, laughing about something. He still had a job. The budget cuts were apparently very, very specific. They hadn't just fired me. They had fired me and kept Greg, the guy who couldn't write a line of code to save his life. I knew exactly what had happened. This wasn't a budget cut. This was a coup. David never understood Project Apex. He hated that I was the one presenting it, that our biggest clients, like Tom from Viridian Logistics, always asked for me by name. Apex was a new predictive modeling engine for supply chains. It was complex, it was brilliant, and it was 100% my baby. David couldn't explain it, so he couldn't control it. And if David couldn't control it, it didn't exist. He had convinced the higher-ups to scrap it and go with some off-the-shelf solution that Greg had probably found, a solution that would cost twice as much and do half the work, but that David could put his name on. I put my box on my hip and walked toward the elevator, Brenda trailing me like a prison guard. I didn't look back. I was filled with a cold, clear rage that burned away the shock. They didn't just make a mistake. They'd handed me a loaded gun. I spent the first weekend in a fog. I told my wife, Anna, what happened. She was furious, more for me than about the money. He said, "What? Satisfactory?" She knew the 3 a.m. calls. She knew the weekends I'd lost. "They're giving it to Greg," I said, sipping a beer on my back porch. The cardboard box was still by the front door. "Greg? The intern with the boat shoes." "That's the one. David thinks he can replace me with a guy who thinks sequel is a sequel to a movie." Anna put her hand on my arm. "So what are you going to do?" "First," I said, finishing the beer, "I'm going to call Sarah." Sarah was our lead database engineer. She was a genius, a quiet, intense woman who saw bad code as a personal insult. She and I had built Apex together. She didn't just know the database, she was the database. If I was the architect, she was the foundation. I called her. She picked up on the second ring. "They fired me," I said. "No hello." A long silence. "Then you're kidding me." "Got the strategic realignment meeting this morning. I'm out. David and Greg are in." I heard her type something. "They just revoked your access." I saw the alert. "Son of a..." "Mark, they can't run Apex without you. They can't run anything without you. The whole platform is built on your models." "They're not going to run it," I said. "They're shelving it. David told me they're pivoting on the strategy." "Pivoting?" Sarah's voice went sharp. "Pivoting to what? That half-assed platform Greg demoed last month? The one that's just a skin on a 10-year-old framework? Mark, our clients are going to riot. Tom at Viridian is waiting for our beta. He's counting on it." "I know," I said. A little seed of an idea, dark and dangerous, was starting to form. "Sarah, how much do you like working for David?" Another pause. "I'm updating my resume as we speak." "Don't," I said. "Not yet. Meet me for coffee tomorrow. My treat. I have an idea. And read your employment agreement. Specifically, the non-compete clause." We met at a hole-in-the-wall cafe halfway between our houses. I got there early and read my own separation agreement. It was standard. They'd give me 2 months severance in exchange for me signing away my right to sue them for, well, for anything. Age discrimination, wrongful termination, you name it. And in my original employment contract, there was the non-compete. Sarah walked in, laptop bag slung over her shoulder. She looked like she hadn't slept. "Okay," she said, skipping the small talk. "My non-compete is standard. I can't work for a direct competitor in the logistics space for 12 months. Yours is probably the same." "It is," I said, passing her the severance agreement. "But look at this. They're classifying it as a reduction in force. A no-cause layoff. In this state, that makes a non-compete very hard to enforce. They're not firing me for cause, they're eliminating my position. They can't eliminate my job and then tell me I can't get another one in the only industry I know." Sarah read the paper, her eyes scanning it fast. "They'd still try to sue. They have deeper pockets than we do." "They would," I agreed. "If we went to work for their biggest rival. But what if we didn't? What if we just finished what we started?" Sarah looked up. The ambient noise of the cafe seemed to fade. "You mean Apex?" "I mean," I said, leaning in, LogicScore was too stupid to see what they had. They own the code I wrote on their time, sure. But they don't own the idea. They don't own the architecture that's still in my head. They don't own the next-gen version I've been mapping out in my own notebook for 6 months. They paid me to build them a bicycle, and just when I was about to show them the plans for a jet engine, they fired me and gave the bicycle to a monkey. A slow smile spread across Sarah's face. A jet engine. So we build the jet engine. We build the jet engine, I confirmed. On our own. We start a new company. We're not a competitor. We're a startup. We have 0 clients, 0 revenue. We're just 2 unemployed nerds in a garage. By the time they even notice us, we'll be so far ahead they can't catch up. Money, she said. The one-word reality check. I have some savings. I have a 401k I can borrow against. My house has equity. It's a risk. A huge one. And clients. I think, I said, I know a guy who's about to be very, very unhappy with LogicScore's new strategic direction. Tom at Viridian. He was our champion for Apex. He's not going to get the product he was promised. Greg is going to try and sell him that off-the-shelf garbage. What if we offer him what he actually wanted? Sarah was quiet for a full minute. I could see the gears turning. She was calculating, processing, running the scenarios. Finally, she nodded. Okay. I'm in. But we need a name. We called it Echelon Dynamics. It sounded impressive, corporate, and just vague enough. The next 6 months were the hardest of my life. I didn't sign the severance agreement. 2 months' pay wasn't worth the legal chains. It was a gamble. It meant the money ran out fast. We cashed in a chunk of my 401k, taking the massive tax hit. Anna went from supportive to tense. We had arguments. Real ones. Mark, the savings account it's low. Are you sure this is going to work? It has to, I'd say, staring at my monitor at 2 a.m. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of our money. She wasn't wrong. Sarah and I set up shop in my garage. We bought 2 cheap folding tables, 2 high-end computers, and a massive whiteboard. We lived on coffee and anxiety. We weren't just rebuilding Apex. We were building what Apex was supposed to be. The version David had told me was too ambitious, and not what the market needs. The original Apex was a predictive model. Our new version, which we codenamed Odyssey, was a fully autonomous decision engine. It didn't just predict supply chain disruptions, it rerouted them in real time. It didn't just flag low inventory, it automatically reallocated stock from lower priority hubs. It was the jet engine. There were days when I thought I'd made a terrible mistake. We hit a scaling problem with a database that took Sarah 3 solid weeks to solve. She slept on my sofa, waking up just to type, mutter about index sharding, and fall back asleep. I was the architect, the project manager, the fundraiser, and the soon-to-be salesman. I built the front-end framework while also writing the business plan. I was burning the candle at both ends and in the middle. Meanwhile, I kept an ear to the ground. I had a few friends still at LogicScore. The news was interesting. David had officially promoted Greg to Director of Product Strategy. They had, as predicted, tried to sell Tom at Viridian Logistics on the new off-the-shelf platform. The call I had with Tom 6 weeks after I was fired was illuminating. I had called him off the record. Mark. Thank God. I thought you'd fallen off the earth, he'd boomed. Tom was an old-school logistics guy. No BS. Hey Tom. Listen, I'm not at LogicScore anymore. I know, he'd grumbled. They told me you'd left to pursue other opportunities. Then they sent in this child, Greg. He tried to sell me on a platform that looks like it was designed in 1998. He kept using the word synergy. I almost threw him out of my office. Mark, what the hell is going on? Where is Apex? You promised me a beta. That's why I'm calling, I said, taking a deep breath. LogicScore shelved Apex. They're not building it. The new management didn't understand it. Didn't understand it? It's what we've been asking for 2 years. It's the only reason I renewed our contract. I know, Tom. So, I'm building it myself. A better version. My lead engineer, Sarah, she came with me. We're building it right. But we're doing it on our own. No corporate overhead, no idiot bosses. Just the technology. A long pause on his end. Mark, you know I can't invest in a startup. My board would kill me. I'm not asking for investment, I said quickly. I'm not asking for a dime. I'm asking for a chance. Let us demo it for you. Not now, but in 4 months. If you like it, if you love it, you become our first client. You get it for 50% of what LogixCore was going to charge you, and you get a custom-built solution from the guys who actually know your business. If you don't like it, you walk. No harm, no foul. And what do I do in the meantime? Stall, I said. Tell Greg you're evaluating his proposal. Tell him your team is tied up in a budgeting review. You know how to do it. I heard him grin. Yeah, I know how to do it. 4 months, Mark. You'd better not be blowing smoke. That call lit a fire under us. We now had a deadline. The day of the demo was pure terror. We hadn't just bootstrapped, we bled for this. We drove to Viridian's headquarters, set up our laptops in their main conference room. Tom was there with his entire leadership team. Okay, kids, Tom said. Show me the jet engine. For 2 hours, we showed them. Sarah ran the technical backend, showing them how the database handled a simulated failure of a major shipping port. I ran the front end, showing them the clean, intuitive UI that let them see their entire global supply chain at a glance. We showed them the autonomous rerouting. We showed them the cost-saving analysis. We showed them everything. When we finished, the room was silent. One of Tom's VPs just stared at the screen, blinking. Holy, she whispered. Tom stood up. He walked to the window, looked out, then turned back to us. Mark, he said, I have one question. Yes. I said, my heart pounding. How fast can you have this deployed? And can you take a check today? We signed Viridian Logistics that afternoon. The contract wasn't just big, it was a company maker. It was enough to get us out of my garage, to hire 3 of our old trusted colleagues from LogixCore who were also sick of David's regime, and to get a real office. The best part? The contract had an exclusivity clause. Viridian was our client now. Which meant, as soon as their current contract expired, they were officially leaving LogixCore. LogixCore was about to lose its biggest client. The next year was a blur. The Viridian deployment was a massive success. Tom was so happy with the results, a 22% reduction in his shipping costs in the first 6 months, that he became our personal evangelist. He introduced us to 2 other companies in his space. We signed them both. Echelon Dynamics was growing. We went from 2 people in a garage to 15 people in a sleek new office. We were the talk of the industry. We weren't the scrappy startup anymore. We were the innovative market leader. Our Odyssey platform was the new gold standard. It was everything Apex was supposed to be, and more. We never mentioned LogixCore. We never badmouthed them. We didn't have to. We just focused on building a better product. The inevitable finally happened about 18 months after I was fired. We were in a head-to-head bake-off for the largest shipping conglomerate in North America, a company called Global Maritime. This was the big one. This was the contract that would take us from a successful small company to a major industry player. And our competition? LogixCore. I knew David would be there. I knew he'd be leading the pitch. The night before, I was so nervous I couldn't eat. What if he pulls something? I asked Dana. Like what? Fire you again, she said, rubbing my back. Mark, you're not the guy in the box anymore. You're the CEO. Go show them why. We walked into the Global Maritime boardroom. It was a sea of dark suits. And right in the middle, looking pale and stressed, was David. Next to him, frantically clicking through a laptop, was Greg. David saw me. His eyes went wide. The blood drained from his face. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. I just gave him a small, polite nod and went to my side of the table. They went first. It was a disaster. Greg, who was clearly out of his depth, ran the demo. The platform they were pitching was a clunky reskinned version of their old legacy system, clumsily bolted onto the off-the-shelf garbage he'd sold David on. It was slow. It crashed twice. David tried to save it, jumping in with corporate speak about scalable solutions and future-proofing. But the executives in the room were not impressed. They were technical, and they asked hard questions. "What's your data redundancy model?" one of them asked Greg. Greg looked at David. "We use a cloud-based multi-threaded." "He's asking about your failover, son," the exec cut him off, not unkindly. Greg had no answer. Then it was our turn. I didn't just do a demo. I told them a story. I told them about the problems they faced, the problems I'd been solving for a decade. And then I showed them how Odyssey solved them. Not in theory. In practice. Sarah, who is now our CTO, ran a live simulation. Let's say the Suez Canal closes. Right now. What happens to your 40 ships in the region? She typed one command. On the giant screen, the entire room watched as 40 digital ships, in real time, were reassigned, rerouted, and their cargo manifests cross-referenced with port availability and client priority. A process that would take them days of manual work, completed in 1.5 seconds. The room was absolutely silent. The lead exec just looked at me. "Mr. Jensen," he said. "That was comprehensive." We got the call before we even got back to our office. The contract was ours. It was 8 figures. We had done it. We hadn't just beaten Logic's core. We had humiliated them. We had taken the client they needed to survive. 2 days later, the email landed in my inbox. The subject line was just, "Catch up." It was from David. My first instinct was to delete it. My second was to send back a one-word reply that I can't type here. But Anna stopped me. "No," she said, a wicked little smile on her face. "You have to take this meeting. You've earned this meeting. But you take it on your turf. Your terms." I replied, "Happy to. My office, tomorrow at 10 a.m. You can get a visitor's pass at the front desk." He replied in seconds. "See you then." The next morning, I made sure the coffee maker in our conference room was full. I didn't want him to be able to say we weren't hospitable. Our office is on the 30th floor of the newest, shiniest building in the city. The conference room has floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire downtown. The same view David's old office had, only better. At 10 a.m. on the dot, my assistant buzzed me. "Mr. David Reed is here to see you." "Send him in, thanks." David walked in. He was diminished. His suit seemed a little too big for him. He was thinner, and his practiced smile was gone, replaced by a nervous, twitchy expression. He was holding a leather portfolio like a shield. "Mark," he said, forcing a chuckle. "Wow. Nice place. Really, really nice. You've done well." "David," I said, not standing up. I just gestured to the chair opposite me. "Coffee?" No. No thanks. I'm fine." He sat. He looked around the room, at the glass walls, at the Echelon Dynamics logo etched into the partition. He looked beaten. "So," I said, leaning back. "What's on your mind?" "I've got a hard stop at 10:30. This was a lie. My calendar was clear for the next 2 hours. He swallowed. Right. To business. "Look, Mark, I'll get right to it. I'm here to talk about the future." "The future?" "LogicScore's future. And yours." He tried to muster up his old salesman charm. It didn't work. "We've been very impressed with what you and Sarah have built here. Very impressed. You took that little idea, Apex, and you really ran with it." I just stared at him. The audacity. "And to be honest, Mark, LogicScore, we made a mistake." "A mistake?" I repeated, my voice flat and cold. "Letting you go," he said, leaning in, as if this was a confession. "It was a short-sighted budgetary decision. I fought it, you know. I told them, Mark is essential. But my hands were tied. The board, you know how it is." This was the moment. The moment I had replayed in my head 1,000 times in that garage at 3 a.m. The moment I had fantasized about when I was so stressed I thought my heart would burst. And all I felt was pity. He was such a terrible liar. "Is that what you told yourself, David?" I asked. His eyes flickered. What do you mean? You didn't fight for me. You didn't have your hands tied. You pushed me out. You called me into a room with a silent HR rep and read from a script. You told me my performance was satisfactory. You gave my project to Greg. You thought I was just a cog, and you were wrong. You didn't make a budgetary decision. You made a stupid one. He recoiled, as if I'd slapped him. Mark, that's not fair. I was under a lot of pressure. We're all under pressure, David. The difference is what we do with it. You folded. You backstabbed. I built. He was silent. The color was gone from his face. So, I continued, why are you really here? Global Maritime must have really hurt. Losing Viridian was bad. But Global. I'm guessing the board is finally asking you some hard questions. He put his portfolio on the table and opened it. It was a proposal. Logix Core wants to acquire Echelon Dynamics, he said, his voice quiet. I almost laughed. I actually physically almost laughed out loud. Acquire us? We're prepared to make a very, very generous offer. Enough to make you and Sarah very, very wealthy. We'll pay a 40% premium on your current valuation. Which, by the way, we've estimated to be, he named a number that was impressively high. A 40% premium, I said, nodding, as if considering it. David's hope flared. Yes. Exactly. And that's just the start. We want you back, Mark. We want you to run the whole thing. We'd create a new division, the Echelon Division. You'd be Executive Vice President. Chief of Innovation. You could name your title. You could name your price. We need to bring this technology back in-house. We need to stop competing and start collaborating. You want to buy my company, I said, and make me an EVP, working under you, I assume? Well, no, not under me, we'd be peers. We'd report to the same. So let me get this straight, I said, cutting him off. I stood up and walked to the window, looking down at the city. 2 years ago, you fired me. You told me my position was eliminated because of budget cuts. You replaced me with an incompetent yes-man. You tried to kill the most important project the company had ever seen because you didn't understand it. And now, after I took that idea, after I mortgaged my house, after my partner and I worked 100-hour weeks in a garage, after we built a company that is smarter, faster, and better than yours in every conceivable way, after we beat you fairly for the 2 biggest clients in the industry, your solution is to come in here and buy my baby, just so you can save your own ass from the board. I turned back to him. His mouth was open. Wow, I said. You've got a hell of a nerve, David. I'll give you that. Mark, please. Be reasonable. This is a good deal. It's business. Don't let personal feelings get in the way of a sound business decision. I walked back to the table, picked up his glossy proposal, and held it. A sound business decision, I mused. You know, you're right. It is just business. And the sound business decision is to say no. What? No. Mark, you haven't even looked at the numbers. I don't need to look at the numbers. Why would I ever sell the company that is the future to the company that is the past? Why would I take a premium when I know what will be worth in another 18 months? Why would I ever put myself in a position where I would have to listen to a single word you have to say ever again? I slid the proposal back across the table to him. No, David. We will not be acquired by you. We will not be partnering with you. We're not going to collaborate. We are going to bury you. We are going to take every single client you have left, one by one. We are going to do it by being better, not by playing dirty. And you are going to sit there and watch it happen, because you are completely, totally out of moves. He just stared at me. The full weight of his failure was crashing down on him. He hadn't just lost a client. He had lost his company. He had created his own executioner. My 10:30 is here, I said, glancing at my watch. I'll have my assistant validate your parking. He stood up, fumbled with his portfolio, and walked out of the room without another word. I watched him go. I saw him wait for the elevator, a slumped, defeated figure. The doors opened, he got in, and he was gone. I stood at that window for a long time. It wasn't just triumph I felt. It was relief. It was the closing of a circle. It was the definitive final word on the page end of that chapter of my life. I walked out of the conference room and found Sarah. She was at her desk, headphones on, deep in some new problem. I tapped her on the shoulder. She pulled her headphones off. "Hey, how'd it go with the ghost of failures past?" "He offered to buy us," I said. Sarah laughed. A real, loud laugh. "Oh my God. What did you say?" "I told him I'd have my assistant validate his parking." Her smile was bright enough to light the room. "Good. Now, are you going to stand there all day, or are you going to help me figure out how we're going to handle the data load from the global maritime contract? This thing is a monster." I grabbed a marker for the whiteboard. "On it, boss." That was 3 months ago. 2 weeks ago, LogicScore's stock cratered after they announced they were losing their third major client of the quarter. Yep, that was us too. Last week, I got a notification on LinkedIn. David Reed is open to work and seeking new opportunities in strategic leadership. I didn't even smile. I just closed the tab and got back to work. I took my aging mother into my home after my sister refused. Years later, moms will reveal the secret that left everyone speechless. The call that detonated my life came on a Tuesday. I was in a budget meeting, staring at a spreadsheet that didn't make sense, when my phone buzzed with my sister's name. Sarah. I almost didn't answer. We hadn't spoken in 6 months, not since the fight about whose turn it was to host Thanksgiving. I stepped into the hall. "Mark," she said. "No hello." Her voice was flat, like a stone skipping on ice. "It's Mom. She had a stroke." My stomach bottomed out. "What? Is she okay? Where is she?" "She's at St. Jude's. It was minor," they said. "But her left side is weak. Mark, she can't live alone anymore. I'm at her apartment. It's a mess. She's been falling. She didn't tell us." I leaned against the cinderblock wall. Okay, I'll fly out tonight. What's the plan?" "We'll find a facility, a good one." There was a pause. A cold, heavy silence that I should have recognized. "About that," Sarah said. "My contribution is going to be financial. I won't have her in my home. I told her that. She needs to be with you." "What do you mean, be with me?" "You live 20 minutes from her. I'm in another state. You have that huge house. We have a 3-bedroom bungalow and a teenager." "I know," she said, and the ice in her voice was turning to steel. "But it has to be you. I can't do it, Mark. I just can't. I'll send you money every month." "I don't want your money, Sarah. I want you to be a daughter. She's your mother." "I'm aware of who she is," she said, and hung up. I stood in that hallway for a full minute, the beep of the deadline in my ear. I was furious. But more than that, I was terrified. I had to go home and tell my wife, Anna, that my mother, who Anna had a complicated relationship with, was coming to live with us. Indefinitely. The flight was a blur. I went straight to the hospital. My mom, Ellen, looked so small in the bed. She was 75, but she looked 90. Her white hair was thin, and the left side of her mouth drooped. When she saw me, she burst into tears. "Marky," she wept, grabbing my hand with her good one. "Oh, my boy. I'm so sorry. I'm such a burden." "You're not a burden, Mom," I said, my throat tightening. "We're going to figure this out." "Sarah was here," she whispered, looking at the door as if Sarah might burst in. She was so cold. She said she wouldn't take me. She said I made my bed and I had to lie in it. What does that mean, Marky? I was a good mother, wasn't I? A hot, black rage filled my chest. It was one thing to say no to me. It was another to say that to an old woman in a hospital bed. "She's just stressed, Mom," I lied. "She's got a lot on her plate." "She has that big, empty house," Mom sniffled. "Her husband, Greg, makes so much money. And my own son-in-law, he just looked at his shoes. They don't want me. I have nothing, Mark. Your father, well, you know. He didn't leave much after the treatments." I knew. My dad had died of cancer 10 years prior. His long illness had wiped out their savings. The family home was sold. Mom was living on Social Security in a tiny, subsidized senior apartment. She had nothing. And Sarah, who had married rich, was turning her back. "Don't worry about Sarah," I said, forcing a smile. "You're coming home with me. You're going to live with me and Anna and Ben. It'll be great." She cried again, tears of relief this time. "Oh, Marky. You're my good boy. You were always my good, sweet boy." I flew her home first class, paying for it on my credit card. Anna was waiting. My wife, Anna, is a saint. I want to be clear about that. None of this was her fault. She's a practical, kind woman who had always found my mother a bit much. Mom was all passive aggression and subtle guilt trips, a specialty of her generation. But when Anna saw her, frail and scared in the wheelchair I was pushing, her face softened. "Welcome home, Ellen," she said, taking Mom's hand. "We've got the guest room all set up for you." That night, after we got Mom settled, Anna and I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. "She can't dress herself, Mark," Anna said quietly. She tried to use the remote with the alarm clock. "This isn't just a weak left side." "It's temporary," I said, trying to convince myself. "The doctor said with physical therapy, she'll bounce back." "And the money Sarah is sending?" I gritted my teeth. "I'll get it. I'll make her pay her share." The first check from Sarah arrived a week later. It was for $500. I looked at it, and I laughed. It was a bitter, ugly sound. $500. It wouldn't even cover the copays for the new medications, let alone the physical therapist I'd hired to come to the house. I took a picture of the check and texted it to her. "This is a joke, right?" Her reply came back almost instantly. "That's what I can send. Take it or leave it." I called her. She picked up on the fifth ring. "You make 6 figures, Sarah. Greg's a partner at his firm. You live in a 5,000 square foot house. And you send $500? That's an insult. Mark, you have no idea what my financial situation is. You don't know anything. I know that you're abandoning your mother. She cries every night, asking why you hate her. What am I supposed to tell her?" There was that silence again. When she finally spoke, her voice was so low I could barely hear it. "Tell her to think about what she did. Tell her to think really hard about why I can't. I have to go." "Sarah, don't you hang up on." She hung up. I went to the bank, cashed the check, and drove to a Western Union. I wired the $500 right back to her. I included a note, "We don't want your pity money." It was a point of pride. It was, in retrospect, the stupidest decision of my entire life. The first year was the easy year. Mom's physical therapy helped. She regained some use of her hand. She could walk with a quad cane. But her mind, it was different. She was forgetful. She was childlike. But she was also sweet. She'd sit with Anna in the kitchen and tell her stories about my childhood. She'd fold laundry badly, but she was trying. The problem started with Anna's job. She was a dental hygienist, working 3 days a week. It was our fun money. Vacations. Dinners out. College savings for our son, Ben. First, it was the calls. Mom would call her at work. "Anna, I can't find the remote." "Anna, I'm hungry." "Anna, a man just walked by the house, I'm scared." Anna would come home, frazzled. "Mark, she called me 6 times today." I got written up. Then came the doctor's appointments. Mom had a new one every week. Cardiologist. Neurologist. Urologist. Anna had to take time off to drive her. Then more time. Finally, her boss told her she either had to commit to her hours or go part-time. We couldn't afford for her to go part-time, but we also couldn't leave Mom alone. "I'll just quit," Anna said one night, after a particularly bad day. "It's fine. I'll just quit. Ben's old enough. I'll just be here." "No, honey, we can't ask you to do that." "You're not asking," she said, her voice flat. "It's just what's happening. She can't be alone. We can't afford a nurse. So, I'll quit." And she did. The financial hit was immediate. Our fun money was gone. Then our savings money was gone. Then we were dipping into the emergency money. Mom's Social Security was about $900 a month. It covered her prescriptions and her special dietary supplements. Everything else, the mortgage, the doubled utility bills, the groceries, the gas to drive her everywhere, that was on us. On me. I started working overtime. I'm a project manager for a construction firm. I took every extra weekend shift I could. I was tired. I was always tired. The strain on my marriage was profound. Anna was a caregiver, 24/7. And Mom, as she got more comfortable, got less sweet. Her manipulative side started to show. "Oh, Anna dear," she'd say, loud enough for me to hear as I walked in. "You look so tired. You should really try to put on some makeup. Your husband is home, after all." Or, "This chicken is a little dry, dear. It's okay. I know you're busy. It's just, Marky always liked his chicken very moist." Anna would get a tight, white-lipped smile and say nothing. Later in bed she'd whisper, "She's trying to drive a wedge between us, Mark." "No, she's not," I'd argue weakly. "She's old. She doesn't know what she's saying." "She knows exactly what she's saying." My resentment for Sarah became a living thing. It sat on my chest at night. I'd stalk her on social media. There she was, smiling, on a beach in Mexico. There she and Greg were, at a charity gala, in a tux and a glittering dress. There was their new Audi. I sent her an email. Itemized our expenses for the last year. The cost of Anna's lost wages. The co-pays. The extra food. The new ramp I had to build. It came to $48,000. "This is your half," I wrote. "Pay it." She replied a week later. "Mark, I'm sorry you're in this position, but this was your choice. I told you I couldn't have her. I'm not paying that. I'll restart the $500 a month, if you want." I wrote back, "You are a sociopath. You are not my sister. Don't ever contact me again. When Mom dies, don't you dare come to the funeral." She didn't reply. The easy years ended. Mom's minor stroke had been the first domino. We were referred to a geriatric neurologist. After a battery of tests, he sat us down. "It's vascular dementia," he said, his face grim. "The stroke damaged blood vessels in her brain. It's progressive. It's not going to get better, Mark. I'm sorry." The next 5 years were a slow descent into hell. Mom's personality vanished. The sweet, manipulative woman was replaced by a terrified, angry stranger. She started wandering. One night, I woke up at 3 a.m. The house was cold. The front door was wide open. I found her in the street in her nightgown, trying to catch the bus to go see my mother. We had to put alarms on all the doors and windows. She became paranoid. She accused Anna, constantly, of stealing. "She took my wedding ring," she'd shriek. We'd find it an hour later in the sugar bowl. "She's poisoning my food," she'd cry, throwing a plate against the wall. Anna would just sigh, get the broom, and make her a new plate of food. Our son Ben, who was 14 when she moved in, was 19 now. He'd gone to a state college, living in a dorm, just to get out of the house. He loved his grandmother, but he told me, "Dad, I can't bring friends home. It smells like, you know, and she's always yelling." He was right. It did smell. The incontinence started. We fought it. We tried. But there were accidents. The house, our home, started to smell like a grim, sad nursing home. Anna was washing sheets 3 times a day. I was 52 years old. I looked 65. I had high blood pressure. I hadn't had a vacation in 7 years. Anna and we were roommates. We were a team, but the intimacy, the fun, was gone. We were just surviving. We were in survival mode, every single day. One night, Anna just broke. I came home. She was sitting at the kitchen table, in the dark. Mom was asleep. Anna was staring at a piece of mail. "What's wrong?" I asked. She looked up. Her eyes were dead. "It's Ben's tuition. It's overdue. We don't have the money, Mark. We used the last of the college fund to pay for Mom's dental work." I sat down, the weight of it all crushing me. I'll pull from my 401k. "Again," she whispered. Mark, there's nothing left to pull. We've mortgaged the house. We have $30,000 in credit card debt. We are drowning. She put her head in her hands and she just sobbed. It wasn't loud. It was a silent, shuddering breakdown. I can't do this anymore, she whispered into her palms. I've lost my job. I've lost my home. It's not my home anymore. It's her hospice. And now my son can't go to college. I can't. I won't. I love you, Mark. But I am leaving. I'll go stay with my sister. You have to choose. I had never felt so cold in my life. Choose? Choose what? My wife or my dying mother? Yes, she said, looking up, her face streaked with tears. I'm forcing you to. Because you won't save yourself. You're going to go down with this ship, and you're going to take me and Ben with you. I'm giving you an ultimatum. Me. Or her. I knew in that moment that she meant it. I also knew that I couldn't. I couldn't put my mother in a home. The bad ones were nightmares, and we couldn't afford a good one. It was a promise I'd made. I can't, Anna. I can't throw her out. She nodded, slowly. She stood up, walked upstairs, and packed a bag. She kissed me on the cheek. I'll be at my sister's. Call me when you've made a different choice. She left. I sat in the dark for an hour. Then I went to my office. I picked up the phone. I hadn't spoken to Sarah in almost 5 years. She answered. Sarah, I said. My voice broke. Anna left me. I'm losing everything. I'm begging you. I need help. I don't care about the past. I need my sister. Please. I was sobbing. A full-grown man, begging. I heard her take a sharp breath. Oh, Mark. Oh, God. Okay, listen to me. There is a solution. It's not what you want, but it's the only way. I'll do anything. You have to put her in a state facility. You have to use Medicaid. I recoiled. A Medicaid facility? Sarah, they're horrible. It's giving up. I can't. I won't. You have to. Mark, it's the only way. You have to spend down her assets. You have to. Please. For your wife. For you. I will help you with the paperwork. I'll send you money. I'll send you $5,000. Right now. Just please make the call. She has no assets, Sarah. She has $200 in her checking account. And I don't want your money, I want you. Why won't you help? Why won't you just come here? I can't, she shrieked, and for the first time, I heard a crack in her steel. I heard desperation. I can't be near her, Mark. I can't. Just listen to me. Please. It's the only way. I promise you. It's the right thing to do. You're a monster, I whispered. You'd see her rot in one of those places. You'd see me lose my wife, my house, everything, just because you're, what? Selfish? You hate her that much. It's not about hate, she said, her voice dropping. It's about a promise. I can't, Mark. I'm sorry. She hung up. I didn't call Anna. I didn't put Mom in a home. I called my boss. I took a second mortgage out on the house, a high-interest, predatory loan. It was $50,000. It was enough. Anna came home a week later. She saw what I had done. She didn't say, I told you so. She just held me. Okay, she said. Okay. We'll do this. Together. But we are hiring help. I am not the only one. We'll get an in-home nurse. Even for just 20 hours a week. We'll use this new money. So that's what we did. We hired a wonderful woman named Maria. And for the next 2 years, we existed. We were a holding pattern. Mark and Anna, the exhausted caregivers. Ben graduated from college, deep in student loans that we couldn't help with. He got a job in another city. We didn't go out. We didn't see friends. We just worked and cared for Mom. Mom died on a Wednesday. It was 9 years and 2 months after she moved in. I was at work. Maria was with her. She said Mom just sighed. And she was gone. I came home. I walked into her room. The room that used to be our guest room, then became Ben's study room, then became her room. It smelled of lavender and disinfectant. Anna was sitting by the bed, holding Mom's hand. It was over. I felt a profound, crushing grief. This was my mother. But underneath it, I felt a bottomless, canyon-sized sense of relief. And the guilt of that relief was almost as heavy as the grief. We were free. The funeral was small. I paid for it on my credit card. Sarah came. She stood in the back of the small chapel, wearing a black dress and sunglasses. She didn't speak to anyone. She didn't come to the burial. She just appeared and then vanished. I saw her get into her car. A new Mercedes. I felt that old familiar rage spark, but I was too tired to fan it. I just let it go. A week later, I got a call from a law firm. Mr. Vance? We're the attorneys for your mother's estate. We need to schedule a reading of the will. I almost laughed. Her estate? She had $140 in her checking account. I paid for the funeral. You can just mail me the whatever it is. I'm afraid not, sir, the lawyer said, his voice stuffy. The will is specific. And your presence, as well as your sister's, is required. We have her scheduled for next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Please be here. I hung up, confused. Sarah. I said to Anna. He said Sarah has to be there. That's odd, Anna said, wiping down the kitchen counters. She had been cleaning, non-stop, since Mom died. Trying to scrub the last 9 years out of the house. So on Tuesday we went. I put on my one good suit. Anna, looking 10 years younger already, held my hand. We walked into the mahogany-lined conference room. Sarah was already there. She looked terrible. She was thin. Her expensive clothes hung on her. Her face was pale and drawn, with dark circles under her eyes that her makeup couldn't hide. This was not the woman from the Facebook photos. Sarah, I said, a perfunctory nod. Mark. Anna. Her voice was a rasp. Her husband, Greg, was not with her. The lawyer, a man in his 60s named Mr. Fields, cleared his throat. Thank you for coming. I was your father's attorney, and I handled your mother's affairs. We're here to execute the last will and testament of Ellen Vance. He broke the seal on a large envelope. This is all very standard, he said, putting on his glasses. She bequeaths her personal effects, jewelry, photographs, etc., to be divided equally between her 2 children, Mark and Sarah. I nodded. That meant nothing. Her jewelry was costume. Now, he continued, we come to the financial assets. I felt Anna tense beside me. Mr. Fields read, to my son, Mark Vance, who has been a dutiful and loving caregiver in my final years. I leave the contents of my savings account at Bank of America, and my 2005 Toyota Camry. He looked up. The account balance is $1,150.48. The car, as you know, is in your garage. I just stared. That was it. After 9 years of my life. 9 years of Anna's life. After the $50,000 in high-interest loans, the $150,000 in credit card debt, the second mortgage, the lost wages. I got a broken-down car and $1,000. I felt a hysterical laugh bubble in my throat. Of course. Of course. And now, Mr. Fields continued, looking at the next page. To my daughter, Sarah Reynolds. I looked at Sarah. She was staring at her hands, which were clenched in her lap. Who has always known her place. I leave the entire contents and principal of the Ellen Vance Family Trust, to be dispersed to her immediately. I frowned. The what? The family trust. What family trust? Mr. Fields looked up, over his glasses. The trust set up by your father, Robert Vance, in 2005. Your mother was the sole beneficiary, and your sister, Ms. Reynolds, was the trustee. My head was spinning. Trustee? What money? She had no money. Oh no, Mr. Vance, the lawyer said, almost gently. Your mother was quite wealthy. The trust was funded by your father's private real estate holdings, which he sold before his death. I couldn't breathe. Anna squeezed my hand so hard, I thought my bones would break. What, how much? I whispered. Mr. Fields checked a second document. As of this morning, the principal balance of the trust is $2,140,000. The room was silent. $2 million. I slowly turned my head to look at my sister. She knew. She knew my mother had $2 million. She was the trustee. And she let us, go bankrupt. She let Anna quit her job. She let me mortgage my house. She let my son take on 6 figures of student loan debt. She sent me a $500 check while she was the gatekeeper to a $2.1 million fortune. I stood up. I'm not sure what I was going to do. Hit her. Scream. Vomit. Mark. Sarah's voice was sharp. She stood up too. Mark, sit down. Wait. You. I couldn't form words. The betrayal was so absolute, so monumental, it was like a physical object in my throat. You naif. No, she said, her voice rising. You don't understand. You never understood. Ms. Reynolds, the lawyer interrupted. There is one more item. Your mother left a letter. For your brother. I was instructed to give it to him only after the will had been read. He slid a pale blue envelope across the table. It was my mother's handwriting. My dearest Marky. I sank back into my chair. My hands were shaking so badly, I couldn't open it. Anna took it and slit it open with her fingernail. She handed me the folded pages. I read. My dearest Marky. By the time you read this, I'll be gone, and you'll know about the money. I'm sorry I never told you. But you were always so good. So pure. I didn't want to taint you with this ugliness. Your father, he betrayed me. In his last days, he didn't trust me. He thought I was flighty. He thought I would spend all his money. He always loved Sarah more. You were my boy, but she was his girl. He set up this trust. He put all his money in it. Money that should have been mine. And he put her in charge of it. Your sister. He gave her all the power. I was a prisoner. I was only allowed a stipend. A small allowance, like a child. He did this to me, Marky. On his deathbed. After he died, I found the papers. I begged her. I said, Sarah, please. It's my money. Your father was sick. He didn't know what he was doing. Give me my money. And she said no. She said she made a promise to him. A promise to protect the money. From me. So I told her, fine. If you won't give me what is mine, then you can't have me. I won't take your blood money stipend. I won't take a penny. I would rather be poor, I told her, than be her little pet. Her charity case. She thought I was bluffing. She thought I'd come crawling back. But I didn't. I had you. I knew you would take care of me. You are the good son. You always loved me. You wouldn't make me beg. These last 9 years, you gave me a home. You proved to everyone what a real child does. You showed her what loyalty is. She let you suffer. She watched you struggle. She could have fixed it. She had all that money. But she's hard, Mark. She's like your father. Hard and cold, and obsessed with money. I'm leaving it all to her. The whole $2.1 million. It's my final gift to her. Now she has what she always wanted. She has the money. And you have the knowledge that you are the better person. You are the one who loved me. That is worth more than all the money in the world. I love you, my sweet good boy. Mom. I read the letter. Then I read it again. The room was tilting. This wasn't a confession. It was a weapon. It was her final, perfect, passive-aggressive masterpiece. This wasn't a story of betrayal by my sister. It was a story of spite. My mother. My sweet, frail mother. She chose to be poor. She chose to live on $900 a month. She refused the stipend from the trust, a stipend, I would later learn, of $5,000 a month, purely out of spite. She used me. She used my love, my loyalty, my goodness, as a pawn in her decades-long war with her daughter. She martyred herself in my spare bedroom. She let Anna quit her job. She let us go into ruinous debt. She watched us suffer for 9 years to win an argument. And the will, leaving it all to Sarah, it wasn't a reward. It was a final twisted F***CKU. She thought Sarah was greedy. She thought Sarah would keep it all. And she thought this letter would prove to me, from beyond the grave, that I was the good son and Sarah was the monster who now had $2.1 million in blood money. It was an act of pure, distilled malice, dressed up as a mother's love. I looked up from the letter. My vision was blurry. Anna was white. She had read it over my shoulder. "Oh my God," Anna whispered. "Oh my God, Mark." I turned, slowly, to my sister. Sarah wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the lawyer. "Mr. Fields," she said, her voice perfectly calm. "I assume, as the new owner of the principal, I can liquidate and disburse the funds as I see fit?" "Yes, Ms. Reynolds. It is all yours. Unrestricted." She nodded. Then she looked at me. Her eyes were not the eyes of a cold-hearted millionaire. They were the eyes of someone who had been holding her breath for 20 years. They were just tired. As tired as mine. "She told me," Sarah whispered, "the day she had her stroke. She told me, I'm moving in with Mark. And I'm going to prove he's the only one who ever loved me. I'm going to make you watch him be a good son while you count your money." I just stared. I made a promise to Dad," she said, tears now streaming down her pale face. He was so sick. He knew she'd spend it all in a year. QVC, cruises, gifts for her friends. She had a problem, Mark. He just wanted to make sure we were both okay after he was gone. The trust was for her. The stipend was generous. But the principal, it was always meant to be split. 50/50ths. After she passed. That was his wish. She took a shaky breath. But she found the papers. And she hated me. She told me she would rather die in poverty than take a penny from my control. I begged her. I said, "Mom, this is from Dad. It's not my money." But she was, you know what she was. She was Mom. I did know. I just hadn't wanted to see. "I tried to send you money, Mark," she said, her voice pleading. "My own money. I sent you checks. You tore them up. You sent them back. You told me I was a sociopath. You told me not to come to the funeral." Your own money?" I stammered. The trips, the Mercedes, the gala." She let out a dry, hacking laugh. "The Mercedes is a lease. Greg lost his job 3 years ago. The gala was a job fair. The Mexico picture was from 10 years ago. Mark, we've been struggling too. We've been cashing out his 401k to pay our mortgage. I was trying to send you money. From our savings. The $500 it was all I actually had." The room was spinning so fast I thought I would pass out. The whole time. The whole F***king time. I had been the self-righteous martyr, hating my rich sister. And she was just a woman trying to keep a deathbed promise to her father, while her own life fell apart. And my mother had watched it. She had watched both her children spiral into financial ruin, all from the comfort of my guest room, all to prove a point. I was speechless. Anna was speechless. Sarah zipped up her purse. She stood. "Mr. Fields, I need you to draw up the papers. I want to pay from the trust, the full second mortgage on my brother's house. I want to pay his $150,000 in credit card debt. I want to pay my nephew's full student loan balance." The lawyer just stared. "And after that," Sarah said, "after you have made my brother completely whole, I want you to take the remaining principal. And I want you to split it. Down the middle. 50/50. She looked at me. She never knew us, Mark. She never knew Dad. She really thought, I'd keep it. She walked over to me. I was still sitting, holding that monstrous, pathetic letter. "She was a terrible person," Sarah whispered, so low that only I and Anna could hear. "And I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I let you. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you. I promised Dad." I tore up the checks, I whispered. I felt sick. I called you a sociopath. I know, she said. She put her hand on my shoulder. We were both her victims, just in different ways. She turned and walked out of the conference room. We sat there, silent, for 10 minutes. Anna was crying. I was nothing. I was hollowed out. 9 years. 9 years of my life. Of Anna's life. Wasted. Burned on the altar of my mother's spite. The lawyer cleared his throat. Mr. Vance, shall we begin? It's been 6 months. The debts are gone. The mortgages are paid. Ben's loans are gone. Anna and I have $740,000 in a savings account. The house is quiet. Anna and I are careful with each other. We're in therapy. Both of us. The relief of being financially secure is huge. But the waste of it all, it's a poison that's hard to get out of your system. I had to reevaluate my entire life. My entire childhood. Was I the good son? Or was I just the easy one? The one mom could manipulate? Was Sarah the rebellious one? Or was she just the only one strong enough to say no to her? I see Sarah every Sunday now. We have dinner. Her and Greg, me and Anna. Greg got a new job. They're okay. We don't talk about mom. We don't talk about the money. We talk about the future. About Ben. About Anna's new garden. We are learning in our 50s how to be brother and sister, without our mother in the middle, pulling the strings. I sold the 2005 Toyota Camry for scrap. I got $300 for it. I took Anna to Hawaii. We sat on a beach and said nothing for a week. It was a start.